there everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. I tried to do hi. Hi, I'm at a very odd camera angle right now. I'm above you, kind of. You're almost at table level. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day, weekday, weekend, evening, morning, overnight. All of that good stuff. Don't forget to leave in the comments how things are going for you. Today we have quite a different video. Actually, very, very different. We're going to do a skincare kind of vlog situation. I've been alluding to it here and there for about a month now that it's something that I wanted to do. And so now we're finally, sorry, shutting the door. Now I actually had some time to do it and kind of got my wits about me and just committed to like, let's make it happen today. So, if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be diamond painting, you're right. And it's okay to not know what I'm talking about. But essentially, before my diamond painting days, my previous hobby was just skincare, research into brands and ingredients and products and all sorts of stuff. I became really just like kind of obsessed, not so much with what it did for, I mean, I guess, yes, what it did for my skin, but I just love learning about the ingredients and the brands and the different products and textures and all of that stuff. So I ended up kind of falling head over heels for all things skincare and spent about 4 years doing a separate YouTube channel focusing on skincare. I had a blog. I ended up doing blog reviews and kind of long form blog posts for a number of different brands and e-retailers, working with a lot of PR reps for different brands, just kind of went really like headfirst into the world of skincare. And it all started, I'd say, probably about 6 years ago at this point now, where I was just dealing with a lot of acne and blackheads and almost kind of like cystic, almost kind of acne and blackheads or ingrown hairs. It's stuff that I still deal with, but to this day. But I now have kind of some knowledge and tools on how to best prepare my skin to recover quickly, try to mitigate some of those effects. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And I, grew up throughout my teens, even in my adulthood, just kind of washing my face with whatever or not really caring for my skin. It was just kind of like, when I'd get something really nasty that would pop up, I would try to address it in the moment, but I was never thinking about overall like skin health. That's just not something that was in my purview. My cousin, sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. So my cousin ended up turning me onto the world of K-beauty or Korean beauty or Korean skincare. And I just went down this whole rabbit hole with Korean skincare, which just unlocked my love of skincare in general. And so that's kind of where everything kind of snowballed. And so I was able to kind of learn what works best for my skin to get the best results and move forward from there. And so I did that for a number of years as far as the writing and the reviews go. And then I ended up letting all of that go because I found a new hobby, which was diamond painting. So I completely switched gears, fell in love with diamond painting. But now I'm starting to find a little bit more of a balance where I've found myself getting interested in skincare again, seeing what I missed over the past year or so of not really looking into new products and stuff. So I'm starting to find a spark of interest. I don't think I'll go back down the content creation around skincare as much as I was, but I thought it would be cool to maybe start incorporating a little bit of this other hobby, this other interest that I have into the content that you see here on this diamond painting channel. So this won't be a consistent thing. I might just film this, which is going to be, this is going to be a long video, just like a lot of my videos. So grab a snack, hunker down. We're going through a lot today. but maybe here and there I'll be, in a vlog, maybe in the future I'll mention like I just bought this new XYZ and here's how I'm liking it. Maybe just kind of sprinkle in my thoughts and feelings on new products that I try or new products that I open. I have still a very large skincare stash. It's maybe a quarter of the size of what it once was, but it still is overwhelming every time I go through it. I just went through it all to bring out some stuff today, but it's still a lot, but it's shrinking. So I'm hoping to use what I have and then start incorporating some new products into my routine, like newly released stuff. So, but yeah, other than that, I do have so essentially what this video today is going to be is we're going to go through every single skincare category that I personally use and why. I'm going to give you some examples of some different products within that particular category, and then we're going to actually do a skincare routine together. So as I show you each product or each category, or I guess what we'll call quote unquote step of my routine, as I work through that, I'm going to actually be demoing what I'm currently using right now on my skin in real time. So you can see what application looks like, you can see what textures look like, all of that good stuff. So literally walking you through step by step absolutely everything. So this is going to take me a while to actually film. It's going to require probably a significant amount of editing, but I'm going to do my absolute best to try to get this right. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is the first time I'm going to be editing a video like this. In my head, what I'm hoping will happen is I'll be talking about how you apply it and massage it in, but you're just watching me demo it. So it's like the voiceover. I haven't really done like I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But anyway, okay. So I guess first things first, before we start breaking all of this stuff that you see in front of you down into steps and what it all is, a few disclaimers. So, one thing, this is all important stuff, so I won't say the most important thing or anything like that, but this is not any sort of sales pitch. I used to get that a lot when I would talk to people about skincare that didn't know how in love or obsessed with it I was, and I'd be talking about products. A lot of people assume that I was like part of like an MLM, or it was like Rodin and Fields or Amway or some nonsense like that. That's not it at all. These are products that I picked up from Sephora, from online retails, from Target, from Ulta, from, you name it. If it's something that caught my eye and I wanted to give it a shot, I would snag it. Sometimes I would find good deals at TJ Maxx or a Marshalls. So this is in no way any sort of sales pitch. You don't need to ask me like where the link, like, where I sell this stuff. That's not it at all. I will put links to as much as I can, given the limited amount of characters you can put in the description box. I'll try to link maybe my top favorites out of each category that I personally reach for. But once again, this is in no way, I do not have any sort of affiliate links, no commissions. I've been out of the skincare PR game for a little over a year now, so no kickbacks. This is nothing like that. This is all stuff that you can hop in your car and run over the store and grab, or hop online and grab. There's no strings attached. I personally have some strong feelings about not supporting MLM or multi-level marketing companies, so you won't ever see any of that kind of stuff in my life. So just keep that in mind. Aside from that, the other thing that I want to be to be clear on is everybody's skin is different and your skin conditions are going to be different. I am not an esthetician. I am not a dermatologist. So if you are looking to address more serious concerns like eczema, rosacea, persistent, recurring, or intense acne, acne scarring, things that are most likely going to require prescription strength or medication to help alleviate, I am not your go-to person. I am your kind of person that it's a hobby for me. So smells good, feels good, looks nice, interesting ingredients panel, that type of thing we can discuss. But I am not anywhere near being close to help you diagnose something or treat something or anything like that. I may mention that a product claims to have XYZ benefits, but that is not my claim. So just keep that in mind. This is really just to be more for fun. I personally do a combination or an alternation of a prescription medication that is issued to me, but I rotate that on and off throughout the year, and also depending on my current skin's condition. So I typically have I typically have a topical cream that I use, that it's not Curology, it's Agency is like it's for the older generations. But they do like a mix of retinols. They'll put some hydroquinone to help with some of the dark spots that I have from ingrown hairs. Just with my race and background, I tend to get dark spots after acne scars or as acne scars, so just helping to lighten those. So I rotate that on and off throughout the year because my skin tends to not be able to handle it year round. And so a lot of this stuff is just to help kind of keep the ball rolling a little bit, to supplement that. But a lot of it's more about core fundamentals like clean skin, hydrated skin. So we're talking more about those basics as opposed to this will treat your condition. I hope that makes sense. So very clear, I am not a professional in any sense of the word in anything really in life. Uh-oh. So so keep that in mind. We're having fun here, okay? This is meant to just maybe turn you on to something fun, maybe incorporate a little bit something nice into your self-care routine. That's really what we're looking for here. The other thing that you might see me mention is things might help with over exfoliation. Things might help with mild redness not related to a specific skin condition, sun exposure, those types of things, like your day-to-day things. So nothing like chronic. So that's that there. And I guess another thing to call out is this is a pretty extensive routine or long form routine. I don't use every single one of these steps in my routine every single day, night and day. This is all completely chop and change and use what works for you and try out different things. There's no prescribed methodology really to any of this. There are going to be a couple things that I'll touch on that I think are the core, like if nothing else, maybe try this. But this is all very personal to me. How much time you have, how much excess, or how much money you want to invest into this part of your life, if any. So this is not me telling you you need to go spend all of this money. Nothing like that. This is me just showing the breadth of what I incorporate into my skincare routine throughout the week, throughout the month. But in no way is this me pushing you in a direction of buying anything. This is show and tell. It's just supposed to be for fun, and I thought it'd be a fun idea, and I ended up getting a lot of positive response. I've had a number of people saying, when is that skincare video coming out? You should do the skincare video. And so I'm happy to oblige. I'm so excited because this is something I really am a nerd about and absolutely love. So being able to blend my two passions, or two of my passions, into this space is just awesome. I'm so thankful for the support and kindness that everyone extended to me when I tossed around this idea. So yeah, your skin's going to be different, and at the end of the day, some of the biggest factors in skin health come down to genetics. They come down to climate and location where you live and how your skin responds to that, because your genetics might not be a direct match with the climate that you live in, or something, any sort of combination of that. Your stress levels, hormone levels, just other things like other personal stressors can play a much bigger impact on the look and health and feel of your skin, more than any of the things that you see in front of you. Lifestyle choices, the amount of water and hydration that you're giving yourself. Things like smoking can have a huge impact on the look of skin and the health of skin. The amount of sleep that you're getting can also have a major impact on the look and texture and feel of your skin. So all of those things, I think are going to be where you would start if you're looking to address skin issues. Start at the core, start internally, and then your topical, your surface items are really just to help maintain, add a little boost here and there, or maybe pick up the slack ever so slightly in certain areas, but what you how you take care of your body from the inside and from a more kind of not about products but more about lifestyle choices is going to have a much bigger impact. So this it, taking care of your skin and skin health isn't always something that you can just throw money at and you'll be able to fix everything. So I'm not trying to say that either. Once again, skincare for me is a hobby. I love the packaging. I love the feel of the products. I love different textures and scents. But there's also for me a personal bonus of maybe slightly more plumper, fuller looking skin, more smooth looking skin, more brightness, helping to reduce dark spots to a certain extent. And then also just protecting the skin as well is a huge piece of it. And we'll get there, but out of everything that you see in front of you, there's probably only 4 of these bottles, maybe 6 of these. There's only 2 categories. There's only 2 steps that I think are the what I would consider for me personally the bare minimum. If I can't get out the house, I have to be able to at least get these 2 things done before I leave the house or before I go to bed. So we'll get there. So everything else, even in my own personal opinion, is just a little icing on the cake, you know? So that's all the disclaimers. It's a lot, but I just really wanted to cover my butt here because I know that there's a lot of people that will have strong feelings about skincare routines and what's necessary and what's not, but I do this and I don't believe that. That's all fine. We're all open to our own opinions on what's necessary in our lives or not, and I'm just sharing with you what I find to be useful in certain situations. So keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this clip because I'm going to clear the deck and we're going to start from square one. The first thing I do, and we're going to talk about both AM routine and nighttime routine. So I'll try to do some fancy editing. That way I can say like the name of the step and then used AM PM on the screen. So if you ever want to pause it and take notes or anything like that, you're more than welcome to. I'll try to maybe even type out the names of the products as they come up. I'm going to do my best to really gussy this video up because it's something that I love and I'm so honored that people are interested, and I want to put a little extra oomph behind this one. So let's go ahead and clear the deck. We're going to change the lighting up. It's a little awkward because you're just getting a lot of shadows from my ring light. So we're going to do this so you're going to be looking down at the table, and then I will present the step in the routine, why I do it, a couple of different options, per step, some products that I personally like or like the ingredients panel, what have you. And then I'll show you what I'm personally using today, and then we'll put it on my skin. So let's go ahead and dive in. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's go. Okie dokie. I hope that angle's okay. I'm trying to do like a straight down overhead so you don't awkwardly like see the bottom of the box and the barcodes and stuff. So this is kind of my first time filming straight down. And I adjusted the lighting ever so slightly, so hopefully we're not getting too much of a weird shadow. I hope that looks good. Okay, so first things first. The first step in my personal skincare routine is an oil cleanse. I am a firm believer in what they call a double cleanse. So you're actually going to be washing your face twice, if that makes sense. And maybe it won't right now, but we'll get to it. So essentially, the oil cleanser, your first step cleanser, is used to remove excess surface oils, makeup, sunscreen, sweat, physical debris that might be on your skin. It's the concept is oil attracts oil, right? If you think of like a vinaigrette, when you try to mix oil and water, that emulsion is not that great. So if you jump right into just a face wash, a lot of times you won't be removing a lot of that excess oil, maybe surface sebum, which is kind of that waxy kind of protein material that gets in your clogs your pores and stuff. That excess sebum, that sunscreen, that makeup might have a harder time coming off with just a traditional water-based cleanser. So think of maybe if you've worn heavy eye makeup before, really intense shadows, and you just try to go in with water and your face wash, and you still have that kind of raccoon kind of eye. It hasn't all come off yet. That's where your oil or first step cleanser is going to come into play. And there's a number of different products that fall into this category. You have micellar water, which is kind of a little bit of an oily kind of water mix that helps to remove eye makeup that you put on like a cotton pad or something like that. You also have makeup removing cloths that you can use to kind of take off that surface makeup. You also have oil cleansers that are liquid, so it comes in a pump style, and it just feels like an oily fluid that you massage and break up all the makeup and sunscreen and all that stuff, the dirt and grime. But the key, and one of the things that I personally look for in these products, and it's why I don't use micellar waters or a makeup removing wipe for this step, and we'll get there, is because one of the key things in a good cleansing oil, or what we have in front of us is a balm base, which is my preference, is when you do so you're going to massage this onto your skin on dry skin, massage it in, your face is going to look all oily, but when you do add that water, it starts to emulsify, and the ingredients that they use in a nice oil cleanser or balm style cleanser, that is now lifting all of that from the surface of your skin so it can be rinsed away. So it almost uses the water as kind of the vehicle to transport all of that stuff off your skin. So think of it like you're massaging your skin, and you're massaging your skin with the cleansing balm. So now you've mixed that oil, your own oils, your makeup oils, your sunscreen, with the oil of that cleanser. But the cleanser has a special ingredient that when you add that water, it kind of peels up that oily layer and whisks it away. Now, I keep saying special ingredient because a lot of these a lot of these ingredient names are super duper hard to pronounce. But what I look for, and keep in mind that some people consider this ingredient to not be clean because it is made of the same ilk of some plastics materials, but it's polyethylene glycol, or PEG. There's PEG 10, PEG 20. That's the ingredient in these. Here's what I found. Siri, no. That's the ingredient in a lot of these oil cleansers and balm cleansers that creates that emulsification and allows it to be rinsed from the skin. I've done a little bit of personal research to see if there really are any personal health effects from this ingredient. I've also looked into seeing if this chemical derivative that's also found in more industrial uses is an issue when it gets rinsed down the drain. And from what I can understand, the answer is no. It isn't a microplastic. It's not beads or anything like that. It's the chemical that allows the balm to emulsify and almost kind of turn milky. And so if you're still having a hard time grasping what I'm talking about, if you haven't used a product like this, we're going to get to it. I'm going to demo it for you on my own face. So what I brought out for you is my two favorite brands and my two favorite products for this. I wear a lot of sunscreen. I'm not a makeup wearer, but if I was, I'd have even more of a use for this step. But I wear a lot of sunscreen. I tend to be an oily person. I tend to be a fairly sweaty Betty, especially if it's hot out. So I use this step to really get all the grime and the sunscreen and icky gunk off my face, so my next step can actually do what it's meant to do. So this is just getting rid of all that surface stuff. So pharmacy has has a product called Green Clean, but they occasionally come out with these seasonal scented versions. The original smells kind of like lime sherbet. This is a strawberry shortcake. They have a sweet apple one that I'm currently using right now. They've had a very cherry, a cherry-based one in the past, but this is the new one for this summer, and it's the strawberry shortcake. And then this is from the brand Solved Skincare. This is a Korean brand, and they use a coconut oil base, but the way that their coconut oil is processed and manufactured, and this is, you'll see a lot of coconut pop up in skincare. It's formulated specifically to be used on the face as opposed to going to your natural grocers or whatever and just getting a bottle of coconut oil. That can be problematic depending on your skin type. Don't worry, the ingredient, the coconut oil that's used, has been processed and refined in a way that's safe to use topically in skincare products. So they're not just squeezing off the shelf coconut oil in here. But I love this product because it smells like toasted coconut and it emulsifies beautifully. It breaks down really nicely into the hand and just turns into a lovely oil. I'd say this is probably my overall favorite day to day. This is something that I just use when I want a little coconut treat, but they operate in much the same way. As far as my personal skin, I should cover that. I am what I would call oily and dehydrated skin. What that means, there's a difference between dry skin and dehydrated skin. What that means for me is I don't drink enough water. I don't do a lot of the lifestyle stuff that things that keep me super hydrated. So my skin is dehydrated, and its response to that is to try to hold in as much as it can because it's not getting what it needs. And I'm trying to be better about that. I've been trying to be better about that for years, but it's just a learned habit. I need to get better about it. So my skin produces more oil, more sebum because there isn't that natural moisture there. So my skin tends to be oily even though the answer is more moisture. It almost seems counterintuitive, but I actually need to put more moisture onto my face, more hydration into my body, and that will help to balance that oil, those oil levels out. Dry skin folks tend to, even if they have plenty of water coming in, their skin barrier might be a little bit different than others where they're losing more natural moisture into the atmosphere. There's a number of different reasons why you can have dry or flaky skin. So that's the difference between dehydrated and dry. It's just kind of minute things, but it's something to know, to be aware of. But I have oily skin, but it is dehydrated, meaning I tend to develop a lot of blackheads. I tend to produce excess oil, and a lot of it comes down to just not getting enough hydration. So I do try to help balance that also with a little bit of some topical stuff. So that's one of those situations where it's like, I'm doing the best that I can by putting some stuff on my skin to maybe help out a little bit here and there, or at least give the appearance of very hydrated skin. But when it comes down to it, I just need to make better choices. So anyway, these both work just fine for, I would say, the majority of skin types, like dry, oily, combination, dehydrated. It's a cleanser. It's getting put on just for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's coming right off. Neither of these are stripping the skin or leaving me feeling like I have an oily residue. They rinse very cleanly, which is nice. I like when a first step cleanser leaves my skin feeling kind of fresh. So let's go ahead and stop it there. I'm going to essentially cut over right now. Hopefully if I can do this in editing. If not, I'll figure out something else. But essentially I'm just going to keep talking, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to cut in the clip of me doing it. So essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and utilize the scoop that's usually provided in these products. I don't know why I'm showing you that there. Oh, I'm so sorry, future Anthony, for having to deal with this. But you're going to utilize the scoop that's provided, or you can just use your fingers. The majority of good skincare products are going to have preservatives in them to not only extend the shelf life and stability of the ingredients, but also make sure that that product doesn't react funky when you stick your gross little hands in it. So most of the time you're fine. I used to be really picky about, oh my gosh, I'm rambling and I have to cut in myself. I used to be very picky and only use the scoops. Now it's my own finger. I tend to wash my hands before I start my skincare routine. So now I just scoop it out with a finger, and then I'm gonna go ahead and massage about a dime-sized amount of product into my face, but before I do that, I'm going to be rubbing my hands together to warm up this balm because this is a solid in the container, but we want it to turn into that oil, so it needs the heat of our hands to do that. So we're going to massage our hands to create a nice oil, and you'll actually see it start to melt, and it turns into a really nice oil. Once you've got that oiliness on your hands, you're going to go ahead and apply that to your skin and give it a nice, light, gentle massaging motion. Not too much pressure. We're not trying to push anything into our skin or rub it in. Just a natural pressure as if you're touching your face, but not pressing intensely, and that'll be the same throughout this whole routine. But anyway, massaging it in, make sure to get around the creases of your eyes, but don't get too close to your eyes. This is an oil-based product, so it can cause a little bit of like a blurry vision. So you don't want to get it right up against the eye. If you do wear eye makeup, just make sure to close your eyes relatively firmly and give even more gentle pressure. Not a lot's needed to break up all that makeup and stuff. So once you do that, I usually do it for 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going to go ahead and massage, massage, massage. Then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and turn my water onto like a tepid or slightly warm. And once that comes up to temp, I'm going to go ahead and start rinsing my face. And you'll notice that what was a clear, translucent oil is now becoming a very milky emulsion. It's really combining super duper well with that water in this formulation. That way it can whisk away all that makeup, that sunscreen, all of that dirt. And that's what that polyethylene glycol does in these formulations. So if you do see an oil cleanser from like a natural food store or something that's claiming to be clean beauty and it doesn't have that PEG of some form or fashion, they might be using some sort of other emulsifier. I've just found them to be not as effective, and those are the ones that leave my skin feeling waxy or oily when I'm done, like I didn't get it all off. And that's because that polyethylene glycol does a really good job of emulsifying and getting all of that off of the skin, leaving everything feeling very fresh. So that is our first step. So we're going to go ahead and move into our next step. Okay, so now you're back with me, the one that's not washing his face, and you're just looking at the table. Hi. Real quick, I'm going to touch on fragrance. That probably should be something that I touch on early on. I am not scared of a synthetic fragrance, meaning they use different chemical blends, like synthetic fragrance ingredients to create a scent profile mimicking something else. So if it smells like apple, but all you see is just fragrance, they could be using any sort of combination. When a company says fragrance, they could be using any combination of essential oils, chemical ingredients, essences, juices, even sometimes from like a grapefruit juice to help create that scent profile. I've typically have found that a lot of companies, when they are using all natural ingredients, they'll list their essential oils because that's a selling point to them. But for me, that's not a selling point. My skin tends to be reactive to essential oils like tea tree, like lemon peel, like orange, like ylang ylang, patchouli. All of that stuff is great as a body fragrance, like a perfume, but on my face, I tend to be fairly sensitive to those essential oils. So I actually do better with the synthetic versions. There's more control there, there's more consistency from batch to batch. It's all done everything in skincare is done in a lab, but there's variances in those essential oils that can be a little bit weird. Even the time that it was harvested, any pesticides or anything that were used on that didn't get completely pulled from that essential oil during processing. There's all these different factors that there's more variables in my head for risk in an all-natural product as opposed to something that is lab grown and lab developed. When push comes to shove, I trust my scientists. So I don't do any of the like like I said, farmers market, homemade, you know, you gotta have a PhD to to be putting stuff on my face. So anyway, okay. Next up is going to be our second step, and this is once again another cleansing step, and this is our water-based or second step cleanser. So let me go ahead and grab these products for you. So why would you want to wash your face twice? So one of the main reasons is even though that first step cleanser is going to be great at removing, ooh, we might need some more room here. Can I zoom you out? Yes, ever so slightly. Let me try to cram these in here. Okay, I'll have to pre-place these next time because I didn't realize that we're taking up more room now. Okay, so even though that oil cleanser is great at removing makeup, sunscreen, excess oil, the sebum, all of that good stuff, it's not always going to rinse off 110% completely cleanly. And they don't do as good of a job at removing, like kind of helping to slough off dead skin cells as your skin turns over. There's just a little bit that will be left behind from that first cleanse. Now, granted, a lot of people, especially people with super sensitive or particularly dry skin, will just do a single cleanse. And sometimes they like just doing the oil cleanse because they find it to be not as potentially stripping or sensitizing. So if you do just the oil cleanse and move on from there and you don't feel like your skin is feeling any sort of like congestion or heaviness to it in the sense that like there was any oil left behind, then you should be okay. My personal way I go about it is always doing a double cleanse. I'll sometimes do it in the AM and the PM, both cleanses, because I sweat at night. I get gross at night, especially in the summer. So I do a double cleanse every time I wash my face, which is twice a day. But other days when I'm not feeling it, I rather just do the water cleanse in the morning and then both at night. I hope that helps. Like I said, if I can try to remember to put in step 2, water cleanser, AM, PM, I'll try to. I'll try to remember. But water-based cleansers are exactly that. They've got water in them, and you add water to either create some sort of foam or cream or jelly. Not all of them are going to bubble, even though I do like a bubbly cleanser. Some of them are just going to feel like just like you're putting sometimes even almost feels like a light lotion on, but it's still got those emulsifiers to help once again further break down excess oil and surface dead skin cells, that type of thing. So all that you'll see from me is foaming cleansers because that's what I like. But keep in mind, this is very important, is the pH of your skin is pretty sensitive and it's pretty delicate. Our bodies have pH levels of different things. Our, saliva, tears, everything has a different pH or varying pH. The pH level of almost every single human being's skin is going to be somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5. Some people say 5 to 7. You can narrow it down to 5.5 to 6.5 is the average pH level. Why is that important? When you start to mess with your pH, the pH of your skin, it affects the skin's barrier or natural ability to protect itself from external things such as sun exposure, such as topical things like let's say you put a little lemon juice on your face. It basically breaks down. Think of your skin kind of like a scalloped potatoes. Your skin cells are, if you're not sure what a scalloped potato is, what else could I describe it? Think of it as maybe a ratatouille, I guess. Your skin cells are layered on top of each other like this. They're not butted up against each other brick style. They're layered like scalloped potatoes. And in between that is something called, there's your sebum. I think keratin's also part of that. And then we'll talk about an ingredient that helps to buffer that for you. But anyway, so you've got the mortar in between your scalloped potatoes. When you start to mess with your pH, either dropping it too low or too high, you actually start to break down the bonds in between. So now you have more of these gaps that can allow in bacteria, different things that'll affect your skin in different ways, either by sensitizing it, causing breakouts, that type of thing. You're just weakening your skin's defense systems when you're messing with the pH too much. We'll talk about why it's okay to lower it temporarily to actually allow things to penetrate deeper, but you don't want that to be the consistent state of your skin all the time. And also raising it can sensitize the skin. So you want to maintain that pH balance of approximately 5.5 to 6.5 no matter what step no matter what product you're using, it shouldn't be messing with that. So when you think of a really like those old school foamy, super foamy cleansers that would kind of feel stripping, or your skin would kind of squeak after you were done, that's most likely a high pH cleanser that was using something like mysteric acid. There's a couple other surfactants that are almost like the same that you'd find in dish soap or detergents that are meant to really break down grease. Well, that can just strip your skin of its natural moisture, its natural defense systems. And so you want to wash your face and cleanse anything that's sitting on kind of the very surface, but you're not trying to strip mine the whole thing, you know? And that's something that I had to learn pretty early on, because that's what I would do. I always thought that like tight, dry, just like almost uncomfortable skin meant that I had clean skin. And that wasn't the case. It meant that I was just peeling off any semblance of moisture that I had been giving my skin. I was ripping it out of there, thinking that that's what I needed to do. So this is one of the two most important steps for me. If you decide that you don't want to do an oil cleanser or first step, just generally washing your face with a pH balanced cleanser is going to be a really good thing for you if you're not currently doing it, or switching to something more pH balanced from what you're currently using. So they have pH test strips online that you can buy to get a rough understanding of what the pH level is of your cleanser. But if you see ingredients like mysteric acid, sodium lauryl sulfate, those are going to be some pretty intense surfactants that almost always have a high pH. It's rare that they'll add they'll add something more alkaline to count, or more acidic to counteract that much. So that's a lot of nerd speak. Essentially, if you are looking for a new cleanser, a lot of them, especially our Korean brands here, will list 5.5. That's kind of one of the selling points, is this is a pH balanced cleanser. But other things that you can look for is ingredients that are coconut based surfactants. So if you see coca metapropyl, anything like that, you're okay. You'll even see some that'll say sodium lauryl sarcosinate. That's a different version. It's not the same as sodium lauryl sulfate. That's the big one. But you just want to look for ones that either claim to be pH balanced, or low pH is sometimes what they'll call it. Certain brands like this CeraVe here are just known as being a gentle cleanser that already have that in mind. We'll take a look at, well, I know this one's going to be for a different reason, but this is utilizing lauryl glucoside, oh my gosh, these are tough. Let's do the second one, sodium cocoyl glutamate. So you hear cocoyl, that's a coconut derived surfactant that they're using to, essentially it's the soap or the cleanser. So you'll find that in a lot of these. Let's see if this one has English. Sodium cocoyl, isethanoate, cocoyl betaine. So yeah, it's a lot of things I can't pronounce, but I look for those key things like sodium cocoyl or that type of thing. And if you ever need any, if you ever have a product you're like, Anthony, do you know if this is pH balanced? Just send it to me and I'll help you decipher as best I can the ingredients list. So, okay, that was a lot of talking for cleansers, but this might be one of my favorite steps because it's just something I do twice a day, every day, and I like washing my face. So I brought out 4 different cleansers just so you can kind of maybe take a look at some different textures and different formats. So first things first, this is from the brand Youth to the People, and this is their kale and green tea spinach vitamins superfood cleanser. When it comes to cleansers, I'm looking for something that doesn't strip my skin, doesn't make it feel dry or tight, leaves it still feeling nicely hydrated while cleansed. And I also like a good texture and foam and bubble. I like a fairly rich lather if I had my preference. It doesn't always have to be that way, but I like something that gives me kind of a luxurious feel. And aside from that, all of the green tea and the kale and the spinach and the vitamins and the this and the that, it's not as important to me in a cleansing step because guess what? I'm just going to wash it right off my face. It's going right down the drain. So all the fancy talk when it comes to cleansers, that's cute and all, but really I'm just looking for how my skin finishes, essentially what it feels like and looks like, and responds when it's done, and just kind of how it applied. Am I enjoying washing my face with this? So that's great that they've got all this stuff, but if it's not as impactful as something like a serum or a moisturizer that's going to sit on your face all night or all day. So anyway, so this is just a typical gel style cleanser. You can see it right in there. It's going to foam up nicely when it's mixed with water. It has this really kind of fresh greens kind of scent to it. They don't add any fragrance to these. It's just the scent of the ingredients, and I don't believe they use any essential oils in their ingredients profile either. So it just smells like fresh cut greenery, and it's just very refreshing, and it's really nice to use. And it comes in a pretty good sized bottle. So this is the Kale and Green Tea Spinach Vitamin Superfood Cleanser from Youth to the People. You can get that. Oh, I should have mentioned. Sorry, step back. You can get this at Sephora. You can get this on a website called socoglam.com. Like I said, if I have the space to link everything, I will. So Youth to the People is available at Sephora. This next one, I'll move them off as we go. This next one is from the brand Sweet Chef. Sweet Chef can be found on their own website. I think it's sweetchefskincare.com. This is their carrot and ginger, once again, la-di-da, plus salicylic acid pore cleanser. We're going to talk more about salicylic acid here shortly, actually in the next step. So I'm going to set this aside. We're going to come back to that, but let's not talk about that for now. We're just talking about the cleanser of it all. So this is actually a fluid in here, and it's the pump, the foaming. You've used like a foaming hand sanitizer or hand soap. It does the same thing. It's a liquid, but as you pump it, it creates the foam for you. So that's a really nice product. It gets nice and foamy right away, and it's just another version of a cleanser. This next one is from the brand, we already talked about where you can get that. This one is from the brand Sunjung, and this is their 5.5 foam cleanser. Like I said, the 5.5 is in reference to the pH of this cleanser. It's parent brand. This is kind of a subsidiary or just kind of like a line of products, but the main brand is called Etude or Etude House. And so this is a brand that just focuses on like basic, like no nonsense, give you what you need and that's it. And that's why I love it so much. It's just what you need, nothing you don't. No crazy extras, no crazy fragrances. Everything's fragrance free, and it just does its job. And it's also very affordable. This is one of the more like value brands from Korean skincare. So I believe you can find this on that Socoglam site. If not, I'll try to find you somewhere else where you can find it. But yeah, it's got basically water, the different coconut-based surfactants, and a little bit of citric acid, which will help to balance the pH. It's got panthenol in it, which is a soothing and hydrating ingredient, and madecassoside, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but that's a soothing ingredient, and that's it. There's like 10 ingredients here, whereas a lot of this other stuff will just be like you can see here on the CeraVe, all of this is all the ingredients. So, but we'll finish with this. This is kind of a household name by now. CeraVe, this is their foaming facial cleanser for normal to oily skin. It's a nice medium strength cleanser. Sometimes I find it leaving me a little bit dry, so I don't reach for it all the time. And I typically only buy it if it's a crazy good sale, because CeraVe's just, I'll be honest. Like I said, I like the experience just as much as how it works, and so CeraVe's a little bit of a basic brand for me. I want a little pop. I want a little sizzle. It's just even the packaging. I'm just like, oh, this just looks so like clinical. Like where's the spice? Where's the fun? So even though it's a very effective cleanser, especially for me with my oily skin, I don't. That's not something I would reach for every day. I think I got this like a buy one get one free, and push comes to shove, I end up using it as body wash, to be honest. But it is a very good option, and it's a very affordable option. So, all right. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and cut over to future Anthony, who's going to be putting on a product for you. He's using. Let me see. What is he using? Anthony, what are you using? Anthony is using the Sweet Chef Oat Milk Latte Cleanser. This is a fairly new product to me. It is a jelly kind of style cleanser, so think of like that Youth to the People one, but it's got a little bit of creaminess in it because they use, I think it's like oat milk powder or something like that that's supposed to help soothe your skin. They're claiming that this one has hydrating and soothing ingredients including oat milk, B12, coffee seed, and hyaluronic acid. Once again, that's great. Not as impactful in a cleanser, but fine. But I do like this one. I've only been using it for a few days, but I do like this one because it lathers really nicely and massages in really well, and that kind of creaminess that it has translates into a nice kind of glide or slippery feeling on the skin. So I don't feel like I'm really pressing. I don't need to press that hard if at all. It still rinses really nicely, but it just gives a little bit of a slip to it and a little bit of a glide that just feels really comforting and comfortable on the skin. I've also noticed that this almost feels like a little bit like it has a cool feeling when you apply it. There's no menthol in here or anything like that, but it just is a very light yet luxurious feeling cleanser. So I'm happy with it so far. Very little, if any, scent. If anything, maybe slightly like lavender. But other than that, seems to be totally fine. No issues there. So yeah, you're going to do 1 to 2 dime-sized amounts onto your wet hands. So after you finished oil cleansing, as you could see, my face was still wet, and you're going to just apply this with wet hands, wet face. Give it a good 30 seconds to a minute. Work that around as close to your eyes as you can. Once again, you don't want to sting your eyes or anything like that. I always make sure to check and get around my hairline. I try to make sure to get near my ears, underneath my chin and neck. You can see I'm going pretty low because I like to kind of wash all the way down. If I was in the shower and doing this, I would even use my face wash all the way down to my chest. I essentially do chest up with my skincare, if I can. If I'm disrobed. So, but yeah, then you just give it a good rinse. I grab a fresh towel. I usually have a stack of hand towels in the bathroom with me, so I'm not using the same one. Maybe if I've used the same towel to dry off after a shower. I don't want any moisture, or if there has been any bacteria buildup, if it's been a couple days since I've swapped that towel out. I like to either use a fresh towel or no towel when I finish washing my face, and we'll talk about that in the next step just for time's sake. So let's move on. Okay, I warned you this was going to be a super long video. We're not even into it yet. We just washed our face. That's it. Okay, so I mentioned in the that last bit that I sometimes don't dry my face after I wash it. So what does that mean? There is a lot of people out there that claim like what they call ditching the towel. Avoid rubbing your face with cloth. Avoid causing that abrasion of the cloth if you're using like a dense hand towel or a dense towel. Avoid any of that bacteria that comes with leaving fabrics in a moist, hot bathroom. They can build up bacteria over time. So there's this whole ditch the towel movement. Essentially, once you're done washing your face, you're going to just pat your skin, and we're going to be doing more patting in the future. And I'll show you when we get there. I'm not going to cut to any other Anthony, but you're going to pat your skin and just kind of fan it and pat it. You can hear me doing it probably, until it's not dry. I mean, that would take forever to do it that way, but just getting the drips of water off. You almost just want to leave your skin kind of moist. And your skin will kind of absorb a little bit of that water, and that helps with the hydration. So I tend to do that when I finish washing my face. I will kind of pat it until it's just kind of damp, and then I'll move into my next steps in my routine and go from there. Okay, so just a little tip. You don't have to. You can grab the darn towel. There's days where I do not have time to sit there and pat, 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 pat. So I just grab the towel, and I hope for the best. So anyway, next step is going to be one that is very, very specific to each individual person. So out of everything here, I think this is the only thing that could really damage your skin if not done properly or under the right instruction or under the right circumstances. So please take these recommendations with a million grains of salt. This is just what works for me. Please do your own research. Look into what you might need. This is going to be masks and exfoliation. So I usually do this post-cleansing, okay? These I only do in the PM, and I only do them about once or twice a week. Because of just the impact that they can have. You just want to be really careful. Okay, so with someone with chronically clogged pores due to dehydration, genetics, all that stuff, and oily skin, I exfoliate my skin probably a little bit more than other people do. I'll do an exfoliating mask once or twice a week, and I'll do a physical exfoliator usually once a week, and then some sort of clay mask once a week. So we'll talk about why I do each one, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I'll cover is the clay mask, because it doesn't really fall into exfoliation. I put it in this step because essentially what it is just like it sounds. You're going to be using bentonite clay, green, what is it, French green clay or something like that. There's all these different clays that they'll use in these masks, and as it dries and hardens, it starts to almost create almost kind of a suction effect on the skin and on the pores of the skin. So it's meant to dry out excess oil, pull stuff out of the skin. And sometimes it also does that by physically contracting as it dries, so it's kind of squeezing the skin. So it's kind of juicing your skin of oils and stuff and drawing blackheads to the surface, those types of things. To varying degrees, I've used some that were incredibly uncomfortable and painful to apply and to have on my skin because they're just so tight and constricting and uncomfortable. I've also used some that are a lot more soft and don't ever really get that kind of hard cracking kind of feel to them. And I've found that my skin prefers something in between. I like it to tighten a little bit, constrict just a little bit, but I don't want it to feel like my face is getting ripped off. So this is one that I have here. I've actually never tried this, but it's really the last one I have other than the one that will be... I don't think I'm going to demo this because I would have to wait for it to dry. I don't feel like doing that. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just do it right now and put it on my hand for you. Give me a second. I'm just going to get a wet washcloth. Okay. Da, da, da. Because I don't plan on doing this on my face. So let me just wet this washcloth so I can wipe it off when we're done. Let me get a dry washcloth so I can dry my hands, and let me grab what I'm currently using. Okay. See how easy that was? Maybe I should have just done hand swatches for this whole thing. Okay, so what I'm using right now is from the brand Zit Sticka, and it's called their Pore Vac Clearing Clay Mask. Unclogs pores, deeply exfoliates, extracts. No, it definitely doesn't extract. That's being a little generous with what it does, but it uses a couple of different clays. I think they include some acids in here, which we're about to get to right now, whereas I believe this is just the clay itself. Let's see. Yeah, it's got kaolin. Kaolin clay is another big one that they use. So this has some clays in it, but it also has some acne fighting ingredients as well, blackhead clearing, resurfacing, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's just a clay mask. It does help my skin feel a little bit more smooth, less congested when I'm using it regularly. So I do like it, and I like the fact that it's not painful to apply. It dries kind of with like a slightly firm but mostly kind of soft feeling. So I can still talk, I can still get a drink of water if I need to, as long as it's not like on my lips or anything. But you can see how that just looks like clay as it goes on, but as it dries it starts to firm up a little bit and kind of set, and it'll actually darken in color. And then you just I just take a damp washcloth when it's all done being dried, and rather than trying to scrub it off my face, I take a wet washcloth and I press it up against my skin so it re-moistens the clay, makes it more comfortable, kind of loosens it up, makes it kind of muddy again, and then I rinse it. It can be pretty uncomfortable trying to go at that dry clay and just rub at it. That can be abrasive to your skin. So clay mask, really nice if you have clogged pores, excess sebum, lots, blackheads, that type of thing. It can help to draw some of that stuff a little bit closer to the surface so it can be exfoliated away later on. I try not to do my own extractions, meaning squeeze my blackheads, but sometimes panic gets the best of me. If I have the means, I try to let an esthetician do any sort of digging and picking. I just don't like it, which is why I use a lot more of this kind of stuff. So, okay, next one is going to be physical. So there's two main categories of exfoliation: chemical and physical. Physical means exactly like it sounds, like a physical product or ingredient is scrubbing the skin or scrubbing the skin to remove that top layer of dead, dull, flaky skin. It can also help to stimulate the turnover of skin cells. It can also help to draw some more of that oil or clogged pore kind of sebumy stuff to the surface. You have to be very careful with physical exfoliants because certain ingredients are a little bit more abrasive and harsh than others. So I try to avoid things that have like walnut shell powder in them, or sometimes you'll see pumice used in certain products. I try to avoid those. Of course, they can be manufactured and formulated in a way that is safe for skin, but I tend to lean more on the gentle side of physical exfoliation as opposed to the harsher side. Better safe than sorry. So what I have here, and this is one of my last physical exfoliants, so I'm going to need to shop around for a new one. This is from the brand Beauty of Joseon. Real quick. Flavonoid Mud is from the brand Nyod. You can get this at Decium.com. It's the same company that makes The Ordinary. This is their like upscale brand. And then the Zit Sticka stuff, you can find that at, I think, Target or Ulta. I think maybe this is an Ulta one. Just type in Zit Sticka, but I think you can get it at Target. Okay, sorry. This is Beauty of Joseon, and it's their Apricot Blossom Peeling Gel. You can find this typically, I think you can get this on that Soko Glam site. I got mine, I think, on Amazon. Just make sure that it's a verified seller. So Apricot Blossom Peeling Gel. What's unique about these peeling gels, and if I can demo it for you, I will. This is called a grammage style exfoliant, meaning it goes on like a gel, but it has this like silicate in it. So as you rub it onto your skin, it starts to pill up like little pills, little balls, and those balls are what help to slough off the dead skin cells. So it goes from like a jelly to this kind of ball texture, and that's what's kind of, it's softly abrading or rubbing up against the skin and helping to exfoliate. This is one of the most gentle physical exfoliants you can use. So let's see. So you see it kind of has that jelly cream look to it right now. But as we rub it in and massage it and get it going, it'll do this kind of weird thing. It takes a minute, but you'll see it how the edges are starting to ball up, and now it's starting to ball up more. So as it comes in contact with the skin and starts to dry, your skin is absorbing some of that hydration and moisture in the product, but then it starts, what's left behind are these little pilly balls, and that's what's exfoliating the skin. So it's very, very gentle. You do this for a couple of minutes, and you can see it's really starting to ball up. That's what's exfoliating the skin. So a lot of people, when they use this, they think that what's balling up is the dead skin. No, 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 no. That's what's doing the work. You're not going to be able to see that much dead skin come off of your face and hands at any time. That's actually the things that are causing the scrubbing. And then you just rinse it away. So you can see how it's developed. It's almost kind of turned into, it almost feels like a paste, but a little bit even thicker than that. And that's what's giving you a very light, very mild exfoliation. So if you have sensitive skin or you haven't done well with scrubs in the past, a Grammage style peeling or a peeling gel might be a good avenue for you. So you can see it's kind of turned into that over time. So I really like them. They're not always the most effective for me, especially if I'm having a super oily week or month. I need something with a little bit more oomph, but for the most part, that's enough to get me by and leaving my skin feeling very smooth or even textured, I feel like, because I'm starting to work up some of that excess sebum, releasing those blackheads over time. It's not overnight, over time. So I just demoed that on my hand because we're not going to do any of the exfoliants today. I'm going to set that here. So I don't have one that I'm using currently. I needed to pick out, I think that's the last one I have. So I'm going to start working that into my routine. But finally, we have our chemical exfoliants. Oh my goodness. I hope people like this because we still have a lot to cover. Chemical exfoliants, they fall into two categories. This is the most simplified version. There's more chemical exfoliant categories on and on forever and ever. There's a bunch. But the two core ones that we're going to talk about today are AHA, or alpha hydroxy acids, and BHA, beta hydroxy acids. Both of these products work in similar but different ways. Essentially, what we are trying to do here is physically remove or either dissolve the topmost layer of dead skin cells to increase skin cell turnover and reveal that new baby soft, bright, illuminated skin. And then we're also trying to penetrate into the skin to break up excess oil, excess sebum, so it's more easily released as your skin turns over. So think of your skin kind of like I said, your scallop potatoes. This is the outermost layer, and what we're trying to do is slough that off to reveal that fresh baby skin. New skin grows underneath. Your skin does that approximately, I think it's 26 times a year. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. But it does it a lot more than you'd think. You're always revealing new skin like that. So what these are trying to do is to help that top layer loosen up so it can fall away. That's AHA. BHA wants to get between these two layers like this to break up that oil and stuff. So when it comes time to slough off, you're releasing those blackheads, that acne, like acneic bacteria, that type of thing. So that's kind of very layman's terms how BHA and AHAs work, okay? You might have different uses for them. I tend to see people with surface acne, think like whiteheads, cystic acne might reach for an AHA because that's a little bit more on the surface and you're trying to slough off that skin to kind of release some of that stuff. Whereas if you have deeper blackheads, clogged pores, BHA is what you're gonna want to reach for. So AHA, alpha hydroxy acid, that has a larger molecular structure, so it sits on the surface of the skin and does that sloughing off. So surface acne, a lot of people tend to reach for that. Or if you have dry, flaky skin, if you have dull skin, you're looking to brighten. It can also help to alleviate, sometimes very mildly, not alleviate, that's too clinical. I want to say some people use it to try to address their fine lines, wrinkles, because it helps to reveal that smoother kind of skin underneath. It kind of just helps to rejuvenate, I guess. I try to be careful with the claims around exfoliation. For me, I use it because I have acne scars and I have those dark spots. So AHA helps to churn over that skin that's hyperpigmented and reveal potential, or ideally reveal more even toned skin underneath. So that's why I use AHA. BHA, those molecular compounds are smaller, so that's the one that penetrates into the skin and helps to break up excess oil and sebum so it can be released easier as your skin turns over. So they work really good hand in hand. Some people use them for one thing or another. I use them both because I'm trying to address concerns that each thing can help out with. So when I look for a product, I tend to look for something that has a combination of both AHA and BHA within it. Okay, so both of these offer that. This actually, I don't know if this has BHA in it. We'll take a closer look. But these are my two favorite products that I use for exfoliation. I've tried, this is probably one category where I've tried the most things, because if it doesn't work, it's very apparent when it doesn't work. Either it works too well, where I'm very sensitized, or I've stressed out my skin, or it doesn't work at all and I'm left feeling clogged and greasy and breakout prone. So these are the two that have really worked well for me. I'd consider these both medium to medium high strength in terms of the percentages of each AHA and BHA. There's a multitude of ingredients that are considered BHA or AHA. Your two core ones here is going to be glycolic acid with AHA and salicylic acid with BHA. Remember, we saw salicylic acid here. They're using that in this cleanser to claim that it helps clean out pores. Maybe, but it's a cleanser. Once again, it's really the things that sit on your face for a little while that are going to have more impact, generally speaking. So this Super Reboot Resurfacing Mask from Peach and Lily you can get from Ulta. This mask has this really interesting jelly kind of texture to it that I absolutely adore. You can kind of see it in there. It feels a little like a Jell-O that hasn't quite set yet. It can still spread around just fine, but it's got this bounce to it. But when you apply it, you feel the tingle that you normally feel when you're applying a chemical exfoliant to your skin, but it's much more gentle, much more approachable. When I rinse it, it has this very cooling and calming feeling. It's got blue agave in it, which is a nice soothing ingredient. So it doesn't feel so harsh and like it's attacking the skin, but your skin's always left feeling very soft. My skin's always left feeling very soft, very smooth, very comfortable. And so it's just, to me, it's a really nice exfoliant. And with continued use, I do see a reduction of bigger black heads. I do see a reduction of I kind of get little spot acne. Like I'll get one little white head like on my forehead, this little teeny tiny one. But this helps to kind of mitigate that over time for me. So I really like this formulation. I believe in this they also use a relatively low amount of acids given how impactful it is. It uses a 0.5% BHA, which is pretty low. A lot of companies, a lot of brands will use 2%, so a quarter of that, and it uses a 10% blend of AHAs, which is pretty standard. 10% is usually what you're going to see. Some brands will go all the way up to 10, 20, 30. Your estheticians in office, those treatments can get much higher in concentration, but you don't want to be doing that at home. So this is a really nice product. I really like it. Next up is from Moon Juice, and you can get this at Sephora, and this is called their Acid Potion. This is a liquid exfoliant, so whereas this one you're going to slather on your face, leave it on for, I think they say 10 minutes, 5 to 20 minutes, and then you rinse it off, and that's that. This one you actually just pat into your skin. It's a fluid, and you leave it. You don't rinse it off. It goes on. You can wipe it on with a cotton ball. Otherwise, you can just leave it. I tend to not use cotton balls and stuff, so I'll just shake a little in my hands, right onto the skin. I'm not going to do this step live for you because I've already exfoliated once today. So this is their resurfacing exfoliator. This is a strong boy, but it works really well. It works really well. Without I don't, strong in the sense that you can feel it. She gonna tingle, but I've never over exfoliated, which is something to be aware of. So this uses a blend of glycolic acid. Oh, and it has salicylic acid. Perfect. It's also got reishi mushroom in it, which can be kind of soothing and balancing. A couple other things. It does use clary oil, which is an essential oil, but I didn't have any adverse reaction to it. It almost looks like it's leaking. Oh, it might be. I might have to use this sooner than later. Oh, it smells. It smells like I remember it smelling. It almost has like a kombucha scent, but also kind of like lemon juice. But it smells good. Now I've got moon juice boogies on me. I think I might have to use that sooner than later. Okay, so that is chemical exfoliants. Be very cautious when exfoliating your skin. Less is more. Start out slow. Start out with lower percentages and work your way up if you're not used to them. Don't go nuts. And then the other thing is be mindful of your skin. Listen to your skin. If you are starting to feel tight for no particular reason, like your skin's feeling tight, that's a sign of over exfoliation or stripping of the skin's protective barrier. So you're always trying to find this balancing act of trying to increase cell turnover, but you don't want to just, like I said, you don't want to strip it all off. You're trying to find this nice, healthy balance, encouraging your skin to do what it does naturally, but not forcing it. The other thing that is a telltale sign is if your skin has a kind of unnatural sheen to it, almost like I call it my saran wrap skin when I've over exfoliated. It's got like a tightness and it just has this like sheen. It's basically it's cranking out as much natural oil as it can to try to build back its defenses because you've stripped it all away. So you don't want to look for that. And then sensitivity, meaning things that you normally put on your skin, like your cleanser or your moisturizer, are starting to sting when that same one that you used three weeks ago wasn't doing that. That's also a telltale sign that you might have over exfoliated your skin. So be mindful of those things. If you do notice that, scale it back, take a big step back, and focus on repairing, and we'll get there. But just be mindful when exfoliating. Okay, that's it for exfoliating. We're going to go ahead and stop the clip because I need some water. When we come back, we're going to be talking about two more of my favorite steps. I love all this stuff, but two more steps I really like, so hang tight. Okie dokie. One last note on exfoliating. I only ever do that in the PM, except actually that's not always true. Sometimes on the weekends, if I didn't know I'm not going to be going anywhere with like intense sun or I'm going to be staying indoors, I will sometimes exfoliate in the AM. You just want to make absolutely sure if you do it in the morning that you apply sunscreen throughout the day. Exfoliants, because their nature is to help slough off skin, that your skin innately becomes more susceptible to UV exposure. So if you choose to do it in the AM, make sure to protect your skin. We'll get to sunscreen eventually here, but make sure to protect your skin with sunscreen, protective clothing, because you've revealed that brand new baby skin, and it is much more susceptible, like I said, to UV exposure, which means that all the things that you're trying to, we'll get there with sunscreen. Sorry, I almost went into my sunscreen. I almost got on my soapbox, but I'm going to set it aside. Okay, the next step or steps kind of work in tandem. So the next step in my routine is what I call essence, or what people call essence that utilize it. And this can sometimes be the hardest one to describe. And I'm going to combine these steps because they kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to say essence, and then I'm also going to say toner, and I'm going to talk to you about what some of the differences used to be, and now I think these two steps are relatively interchangeable at this day and age. We've come a long way. So So I've got these, what, 6 products to share with you. So Essence, in essence, is it originally was a separate step in your routine, a fluid, a light fluid, almost like a toner, but its focus was on deeply penetrating the skin with hydration, delivering some brightening and illuminating effects, and it was more about kind of brightening the skin, illuminating it, like I said, and providing some deep hydration. Some of the key ingredients that you'll often find in an essence are fermented ingredients. When something's been fermented, it breaks down that molecular compound of that ingredient so it can actually penetrate deeper into the skin than it would otherwise be able to. So you'll see a lot of ingredients like Saccharomyces ferment filtrate. Essentially, that is fermented rice, or think of it as like sake. It's essentially sake, but it penetrates the skin. It can deliver a lot of hydration, but those rice ferments really help to brighten the skin as well. So essences back in the day, quote unquote, were this whole separate thing of illuminating the skin, delivering fermented ingredients for the most part. But then when Western culture kind of got hold of that, they started to make their toners feel and look a little bit more like essences or Korean toners. And so toner step is another fluid. You can see some here. And for me, a toner is really about just packing on layers of hydration onto the skin, giving that really dewy look. Not necessarily, I'm not really looking for them to brighten my skin or anything like that. So I'd most likely use them in the daytime just to give that nice kind of like plump, dewy look to my skin. Sometimes I would rely on them because they're watery. I rely on them for calming. So if I've been outside and my skin's like just kind of overworked from the sun, or wind whipped in the winter, and I just need to get some hydration onto my skin, that's when I would use a toner. It's very layerable. Also, when I have my dehydrated moments, when my skin's feeling particularly clogged or oily, a toner can help with that hydration. So it's almost like I would almost always consider the essence as a brightening liquid and these as like a general hydrating liquid. But lines have kind of blurred in recent times, so I just pick one or the other. I don't really use both in one routine. I'll go through a bottle of essence, then I'll grab a toner, swap, 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 swap. I used to use one of each in my morning and nighttime routine, but it's a little redundant. So these are really ideal for, I think toner's great for pretty much anyone to just add hydration to your routine. If you're dehydrated, if you have dry skin, if you live in a windy or dry area, this helps to just provide some surface hydration so your skin just has a more plump, dewy, hydrated, healthy look about it. Once again, to really truly get that, you need to start from within and up your up your water intake. Or if you're doing all of that and you still aren't seeing that kind of nice, youthful, kind of plump looking skin, toners can help to provide a cosmetic kind of enhancement to that. So anyway, all right, so let's start with the essences. So like I said, think of these like toners. It's too hard to try to split hairs here between these, but I do consider them separate steps because I think of them slightly differently. But this is called the Giving Essence. This is from Then I Met You, which is a Korean brand. It's US based, but the products are made in Korea. It's this beautiful, you can see that kind of pink hue. So you can see the bottle's kind of ombre, and then it's the fluid's actually pink in there. This has some awesome ingredients. I named it one of my favorite skincare products of all time a couple of years ago. It's got galactomyces ferment filtrate as its #1 ingredient, which is that rice ferment that's going to help brighten. It's got Saccharomyces ferment filtrate, another rice-based ingredient. It's got niacinamide, which is a nice brightening ingredient. It's got a couple other acids in it that help the product to penetrate a little bit more deeply, but they're not exfoliating. They just help deliver ingredients into the skin. So yeah, it's just I found it to really illuminate my skin. It even helped to kind of mitigate some dark spots here and there over time, and it's just a very hydrating fluid. So I will demo applying an essence. So let me quickly talk about. Oh, so you can get this on either the Soko Glam website or Then I Met You has their own website. Snail mucin energy essence. So snail mucin is a very interesting ingredient. It's essentially the trail that snails leave behind gets collected, and you can see this essence is much more kind of thick. I hope you can see that. Let's see if you can see it there. So this is much more like a serum. It's rather thick and it comes out in a pump. But once you massage it into your hands and work it in, it does lighten up a little bit. Snail mucin is used not only for its brightening properties, but it's also a very healing ingredient. It helps to heal or repair the skin if it's been overexposed to sun, if you've overexfoliated, otherwise compromised your skin barrier. Snail mucin is known to help to repair that, or almost create an artificial barrier for your skin while it does its natural repairing. So deeply hydrating, improving skin's moisture barrier, formulated with 90% snail mucin. So yeah, it's a very interesting ingredient. It's harvested or pulled from the snails in a very humane but weird way. If you ever get a chance to look it up, how snail mucin is harvested, essentially they put snails into these chambers. They're in these chambers. Think it almost looks like an Instapot, but really big. And it's got a thing on the top of it where the snails crawl around that's got little holes in it. Not so big that the snails slip through, but they crawl around on this little like grate essentially. So they close the lid on the snails and they put, I forget if they put like a really damp like air in there, like a very humid environment for them, and they get it to a certain temperature that triggers the snails like pleasure responses or relaxation responses. It's the right environment, a very kind of humid environment where they're just super happy and you know, just moving and grooving in there. And so that's when they tend to secrete the most mucin. And so as they're crawling around on this grate, it's dripping down through the grate and collected at the bottom, and then it's filtered obviously and processed for cosmetic use. But I always thought that they were doing something horrible to the snails, but in fact what they're doing is like getting them really excited and relaxed, just in a really good mood, and then they collect that mucin. So I think it's like mimicking like the ideal forest floor essentially, and they're like, yeah, this is great. So snail mucin is really nice. Sometimes it can be a little bit congesting for me. It's too heavy. And so I don't even know if it causes necessarily clogged pores or breakouts on my skin, but my skin can sometimes feel weighed down by that heaviness. But I'll give it a shot. I haven't used this exact product, but one similar to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut to, actually, let's talk about toners, and then I'll cut to future Anthony doing that. So toners, we're going to make this quick, even though I love this step. So toners are, just like I said, imparting hydration to the skin where it otherwise might not be able to get it from other sources or what have you. This is what I use, just like I do an essence, to kind of really pack my skin with hydration, get it to really absorb, and I'll show you how that works. To eliminate any looks of creases. It's hydrating the skin. It has a nice benefit, a soothing, calming sometimes benefit, but a lot of what I use it for is to give my skin that kind of plump, youthful kind of look, but it's only temporary. Eventually that hydration finds its way back to the surface of your skin and out of your skin. But if you're really looking for that, like, going out, you want your skin to have that plump, dewy look, or you want more of a no makeup look, you just want that more youthful look, packing hydration onto the skin utilizing some key ingredients can actually fake it till you make it ever so slightly. This is not a miracle. It's just water and hyaluronic acid, but it gives you a little something. You know, I can always tell after I've done my toner step that I'm like, ooh, we're looking pretty good. So they're all going to be fluid based in here, and these are just I haven't used all of these. I've used 3 of the 4, but like I said, it's just a really nice hydrator, and I'm going to walk you through how I create that effect. So I'm just going to talk about some of my favorites. This is from Isntree. I believe this is available on that Soko Glam site. They're kind of the US go-to for Korean brands, but there's now a lot more options, but that's one place you can go. This uses 5 different types of hyaluronic acid with different molecular sizes to deliver abundant moisture. I read that right off the box, but that's exactly what it does. Hyaluronic acid is an ingredient that attracts moisture to itself. It bonds with water molecules or other hyaluronic acid molecules. So think of it like when you put 2 blobs of oil in a bowl of water, when they meet, they'll kind of go bloop and make bigger ones. Like it gets drawn towards moisture. So the idea is that this is going to help retain the moisture that's already in your skin and hold it to your skin, as opposed to allowing it to work its way to the surface, evaporate, get pulled from the skin and other means. Some people also interpret this as hyaluronic acid is pulling water from the atmosphere and bringing it to your skin, like it's sucking water from the air to make your skin look more hydrated. Not really. Not really. It's really more about hanging on to what's already there. And so that's why having a hyaluronic acid toner with water is really nice, because the water's getting delivered, plus it's being held onto. The different molecular sizes means that it's going to be holding onto water at different layers within your skin, so it's just more long-lasting. There has been talk that hyaluronic acid isn't great in dry climates because since there isn't any water in the air, that it's going to drink up all the water in your skin. And I don't know where that comes from, but it's a little bit of a misconception. It's not, it's hyaluronic acid is not a living being that needs to be, its thirst needs to be quenched. It's just going to hold on to whatever's around it. So just keep that in mind. But this is a very basic toner. I haven't even opened this one, but super basic toner. It looks almost identical to this. Just watery water that's got a little something something in it. Mainly used for layering hydration. This one is probably my favorite out of the bunch. This is from that same brand that we talked about earlier, Solved Skincare. This is their coconut water, hibiscus, and rosehip toner. This is super duper hydrating. It also has some good antioxidant benefits, which helps to fight against free radicals from pollution and sun exposure. But it's actually got the hibiscus petals in it. It smells lovely. It layers wonderfully. It's just a fantastic product, and it's got the coconut water in it. So very, very nice. Fragrance free. It's just all the fragrance is just from the hibiscus and stuff in it. So you've got coconut water, butylene glycol, hibiscus flower extract, hibiscus flower itself, allantoin, and it looks like some preservatives there. Very nice, very nice. If I would say the reason why I like this one probably more than the other ones is just because, once again, the aesthetics of it, but it performs the same way. This is from a brand called Rovectin. This is another Korean brand, and this is Cica Care Purifying Toner. So they don't use any fragrances or colorants or any mineral oils or anything like that. Very nice light toner, but this is more used for calming as well as purifying the skin, in the sense that I believe, let's see, let me see if this has... I wonder why they call it purifying. Sometimes when you see that, it means that it's got witch hazel in it. And there's one more thing I should talk about when we get done with all this. We're taking the deepest of dives. But anyway, I don't know why they call it purifying. I don't know why they decided to use that marketing term. But really, this is a calm, more of a soothing toner. It's got Centella asiatica extract. It's got madecassoside in it, which is just a different form of that same ingredient. And it's got green tea leaf extract. Maybe that's where they're getting the purifying from. But anyway, Cica. Let's talk Cica quickly. So Cica is short for madecassoside or Centella asiatica. Those are 2 forms of the same plant. And the layman's name for this plant is called tiger's grass. And it's called that because... it's growing in a certain region. It's kind of like Southeast Asia, I believe. And it's also what tigers are known to rub up against to help soothe either scratches, scrapes, general wounds. It has a natural kind of soothing and anti-redness, anti-inflammatory property to it. Now, how effective that is on human skin is debated, but I personally can attest to it being very nice when my when my skin is overexposed to the sun or just generally red or over exfoliated. It's a very nice soothing, calming, just brings everything back down to a nice baseline. So if you ever have like red skin from your environment, not rosacea, not anything, clinical, but just, you've been outside working in the garden and your skin's hot, it's flushed, it's uncomfortable. Cica really helps to just mellow that out, especially if you put this bad boy in the fridge. Coming in from a hot day and splashing a little Cica toner on that's been in the fridge is like, so I really, not this particular toner, I haven't used this particular one, but a Cica based toner is very nice. And there's a number of them out there. So there is the Cica Care. Last one is another one, Centella. This is another Cica. And I have used a bottle of this and I had to replace it because this is from that Etude House brand, or Etude Sunjung Centella Relief Toner. Very minimal ingredients list, very straightforward, but it's got the Cica in it. These two are very similar. This might have a little bit more odds and ends. This is a little bit more of a pure formula. It looks like here we have it all in Korean, so I'm so sorry I can't read you off the exact list. But it's just another one in the fridge on a hot day, or if you've been walking around outside and it's super windy and cold and dry out. This will help bring some life back into your skin and soothe it at the same time. So I'm going to cut to future Anthony and quickly walk through how I use a toner and what makes it a little bit different than maybe you've seen. US or Western toners, they typically were something that you used to cleanse the skin or remove impurities. Think of it as like astringent. So yeah, they like those old school toners that were meant to purify the skin with those astringent ingredients. Like think of like witch hazel. You'd sometimes see a lot of denatured alcohol in a lot of those toners, and I think there was one called like Sea Breeze or something like that back when I was younger. I think even oh my gosh, what toner was that? Maybe even my Proactive toner as a teen was an astringent toner. So you splash it onto a cotton pad, you wipe it, and you immediately feel it kind of evaporate, sucking all the moisture out of your skin with it. But we've always been programmed to think that when your skin feels empty and tight and dry, that means it's clean. And yeah, sure, but it also means it's very dehydrated, and it just feeds into that cycle of your skin wanting to produce more oil to combat that. Then you need more of the toner to astringent, use the astringent to scrub that away. And so you're just in this loop of just starving your skin of what it really needs. So a true hydrating toner doesn't have any of that stuff in it. It should be focused on water, things that deliver water into the skin, like butylene glycol. It should have, sometimes you'll see denatured alcohol in some products, and it claims that helps to deliver, deliver hydration to the skin. I tend to avoid it, and it's more and more rare that you'll see denatured alcohol in a toner, at least modern formulations. But yeah, hyaluronic acid is usually a must for me. Maybe some sort of fermented ingredient, something like the coconut water, which is really nice to have. Any sort of centella for soothing, those types of things. But it should be really about packing your skin with hydration. Future Anthony's probably already done with this step, and you're probably back to me, I don't know. But essentially, how I feed my skin toner is once I've done my cleansing step, if I've done any sort of exfoliating mask or anything like that, that's all rinsed off, that's all gone. So I'm gonna take just a few drops of that toner, just a small amount, into the palms of my hands. I'm gonna kind of, work it in my hands, and then I'm gonna apply it and pat it in. So that I said patting's coming back. We're gonna go pat, 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 work it into the skin and kind of almost give it a little, you're giving a little slap there. You're not a slap, but you're patting. We're also stimulating circulation within the skin. This is a nice time to maybe do a mild face massage. There's going to be another time for that later on as well. And then we're going to go back to our bottle, a few more drops in the hand, pat, 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 pat. This is called, the original name is 7 skin method. Each application of a few drops is called a skin. So we're gonna keep doing this to our skin until we have a dewy, plump, not like wet, dripping wet, but you wanna hear that like that's that a little bit of that stickiness. Like think of like pressing your hand against a wet sponge and that kind of like that kind of feeling. That's how hydrated you want your skin to be. Hold on just a second. Okay, so that's how hydrated that you want your skin to be, or that's what you want to do. 7 was just a number I think that was picked rather arbitrarily. Some people, after all this other stuff that they've done and patting in the water from rinsing your face, you might only be able to do 1 skin or 2 quote unquote skins before your skin has that kind of look or feel. Other people with very dry skin, you might be able to do this all day long and never really get there. But you want to just do as many as it makes sense for you to get that kind of plump bounce back from the skin, because it's kind of hydrated. It's really been soaking up that hydration. Another reason to do this before we move into our serums and stuff is when you have highly hydrated skin, it actually will absorb the ingredients and active stuff in our serums and our moisturizers and stuff later on. Because think of it just like I said, like that damp sponge. When you grab a dry sponge that's all crispy and dry off the countertop and you flick on that faucet and stick it under there, the first thing that happens for a little bit before it starts soaking up all that water is all the water just runs off of it. It has nowhere to go because it's so dry that it isn't ready to accept that hydration. It isn't until things start to seep in and saturate slowly that eventually you get that wet sponge. So then when you put it under the sink, things just go right into it. The water just goes right into it. Your skin kind of operates the same way. If you go into your moisturizer step and your serums and stuff with just dry, unhydrated skin, when you go into apply your serums and moisturizers, if you hadn't done any of this hydrating stuff before, it seems counterintuitive, but it'll actually take a little bit longer for that moisturizer and that stuff to really seep in. And sometimes that's when you end up with moisturizer that feels like it's pilling, or sunscreens that feel like they're greasy and sitting on the surface, because you kind of need to prep your skin with hydration to give it a better chance to absorb later steps. So, all right, so I'm hopefully future Anthony's already done with that step and has been for a while. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. The Sinjung. This product can be found on a number of specialty Korean sites. Like I said, if I have the space, I love how my hands just go, you can see. If I have the space, I'll put the link there. But look at, just a quick shops to look at are Yes Style, and then, oh gosh, what was the other one called? It's been so long since I've shopped from these shops. Yes Style, I think, is gonna... Oh, there's another one called Style Korean. These are international shops. They do ship internationally, but they both carry verified... they're like verified retailers of Etude House. This with Rovectin, you can find this at a shop called Wish Trend. They carry Rovectin products. That's another international shop that ships to the US. verified seller for Rovectin. So I'll try my best to put as much info cards as I can to make this as easy as possible to hit pause if you're trying to build your own routine. But otherwise, just look in the description box. I'll do my best, but this is a lot of info. So let's go ahead and move on to, to kicking you to our next step, okay? Hang tight. And toner I use morning and night every single day. All right, moving on. Okay, so our next step in our routine is going to be our serum step. And so serum is, I almost try to think of it as like a light moisturizer. This is also the point in my routine where I might include some kind of facial oil or face oil. So serums, oils, they kind of all fall into the same category in my routine or step. So I typically use a serum most of the time in the PM just to add an extra boost of hydration, or if I'm trying to target something specific, so I'll only use it once a day, especially if it's a more oily one. I'm not trying to leave the house with like a ton of face oil on, but my default, sometimes I use a face oil, sometimes I use a regular, we'll see them here, a regular serum. It just depends on really my mood, how my skin's feeling. Face oils tend to be a little bit heavier, so if my skin's feeling particularly parched or dehydrated, it's a nice nighttime treat. Otherwise, something like this that is more of a, it's kind of hard to see in this container, but it's almost more of a jelly. Hopefully you can kind of see that. It's more of a gel. And then the same with this product is more of a gel. And I can actually dispense some of this so you can see. But I'll put it on. Future Anthony will actually put his current serum on. I haven't been mentioning the current products that I'm using in my current routine, which I probably should be doing. Dang it. I guess what I'll do is, how should I do this, everyone? Let me run and grab them, and we'll quickly cover what I'm using today. Future Anthony should have shown the bottle to the screen, and if I can maybe put in a title card, but I'll show you real quick too. Okay, so I'm not going to grab my exfoliants. We'll skip that for now, but I am going to grab everything else, so I have it next to me. Okay, that's everything. It's a lot. This is a lot. we've got a ways to go still. So, okay. So real quick, I'm using an essence right now. This is from the brand Misha, and this is a very cherished item for me. It's one of the first Korean skincare products I ever used. It is their Time Revolution First Treatment Essence. They come out with a new iteration every couple of years. This particular version is called their Pro Ferment A, but as long as you're finding the Time Revolution First Treatment Essence, that's what you're getting here. It is very highly concentrated with fermented ingredients. It's an excellent brightening product. It's super light and super thin. I can layer this all day, and it just leaves my skin looking very plump, very hydrated, very like dewy. It's fantastic. It is, like I said, it's one of the first products I ever bought when I started investing into a skincare routine, and I try to always have one on hand just in case another essence or toner doesn't perform as well. I can lean back on this one. So between this and the Giving Essence, these two are just awesome. But you can see you get a little bit more. This is definitely more affordable for sure. I don't have pricing on any of this. You'll have to look into that. But yeah, this is nice. If you've got dry skin that's also a little dull, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so serums, I use these more as a treatment as opposed to anything else. So really what I'm looking for in a nice serum is something that is either going to help with brightening, with smoothing. So sometimes they'll even have like a light acid in it. something that's going to help with barrier repair, especially in the summer. If I'm out in the sun, I want something that's just going to help support my skin's barrier. So these both kind of fall into that barrier repair stage situation. This one kind of has some brightening properties too, but both of these I reach for when my skin is feeling a little overworked, overtired. That's usually when I'll snag a serum. So this is the Rouleau Everyday Serum. I don't get any commission off of this, but I will say that I actually helped this brand develop their marketing strategy and their logo and their packaging. So that was kind of cool. That was in a previous life, but they do send me free serum just as a thank you for helping them with their brand. So I get this once a quarter. Anyway, this serum is packed with various forms of ceramides and peptides. Ceramides are used to be almost kind of an artificial mortar between your scalloped potatoes. So when you start to lose that keratin and protein bond from overexfoliation, overworked skin, even dry, like cracking skin, once again, not trying to address a specific medical concern, but this serum supposedly helps to fill in those gaps and encourage your skin to produce that mortar again so you have a stronger skin barrier. They have clinical tests. I'm not the expert here, but what I can say is anytime I accidentally mess up my skin by overexfoliating by accident or being out in the sun too long or just being bad to my skin, I reach for this product. It just helps to deeply hydrate and support overall skin health. It just helps to breathe some life or put my skin on life support until it can kind of catch back up. So I really like this. If I can remember even what their website is, I'll put it down. They're more of a in esthetician's office kind of brand, so more specialty. It's not like you can pop out to the store and snag it. Then this is Peach and Lily. This is a product, once again, you can find at Ulta. This is their Glass Skin Refining Serum. They use peptides in here as well, a skin supporting ingredient that'll help to smooth the skin. I believe it's, oh my gosh, peptides. They can also help to increase the look of firmness of skin, I believe. Oh, peptides. I'm thinking of like copper peptides. What do those do? I think that's what that is. But I found that this actually works really well to hydrate my skin, soothe my skin, and it helps a little bit with that barrier repair once again. And you saw me put it on, that it's like that jelly. It was like that kind of clear liquid. I'll do it again. It's like a clear liquid. It's semi-thick. It's not water, but it's not like glue or anything either. It's just a lightweight gel, and as is the Rouleau one. And it's one of my favorite serums when my skin's feeling like it needs a little extra boost. So serums are, once again, very interchangeable for me. It's not a step that I'm like, must have my serum. I'd rather have a toner than a serum, but sometimes it's nice to, it's almost like you have a little toolbox of like, if my skin's feeling like this, a couple drops of this. If my skin's feeling like this, a couple, I'll use this instead. So a lot of people call it their skincare wardrobe, and serums are kind of like that for me. Like there's a serum for everything. And so I just listen to my skin, take a look at my skin after I'm done cleansing and everything, and be like, what are we looking at? I'm feeling red, I'm feeling irritated, I'm feeling dry, I'm feeling extra oily. Do I have something in my wardrobe to help me out over the next few days or week or month? So that's kind of how I use it. I'm looking at, I'm looking at my finish of Midnight Laundromat on the wall, and I'm missing a drill. I just noticed that. Okay, anyway. All right. So those are my two examples of serum. Future Anthony's going to go ahead and put on his serum. Cut to Future Anthony. Future Anthony right now is using In Beauty Project. This is from Sephora. And this is called Green Machine. Their skin transforming oil jelly serum. It's supposed to improve the look of clear, healthy, and vibrant skin while filtering away congested, dehydrated, and tired skin. So it's a clarifying, smoothing, and illuminating serum that does have some oil in it. It's got a bunch of super greens in it. Antioxidants help fight free radicals. Vitamin C, which ascorbic acid or derivatives of ascorbic acid can help to brighten the skin and address signs of dark spots and hyperpigmentation. And it also claims to have plant stem cells, which help improve the look and tone and elasticity. I don't know. I'm not that versed in that scientific with stuff, but I will say that they are using. Let's see what vitamin C are they using. I don't have the package anymore, and I don't have the full ingredients list here. But if they're using straight up ascorbic acid, that can help with brightening. Other derivatives of vitamin C, like L-ascorbic acid, I think that's one, or ascorbyl something, something, something. If you're not seeing just straight up, I'm sorry, L-ascorbic acid is true vitamin C in its pure form. The issue with that is, poor future Anthony. The issue with that is it's very self-unstable. It's hard to stabilize pure vitamin C, so now the trend is to use these derivatives that are more shelf-stable and don't spoil as easily, but there's a lot of room for debate as to whether or not they're that effective. But I really enjoy vitamin C for brightening hyperpigmentation and dark spots. It works for me, but it's kind of hit and miss for a lot of people. So anyway, I'm using this green machine because it has a little bit of an oily texture to it. It's using hemp, quinoa, and chia seed oil, which are super, super helpful overnight to like lock in hydration, and I don't wake up feeling dehydrated and gross. And I like a nice antioxidant. Anytime you can throw an antioxidant on my face, I'll do it. So that is the InBeauty Green Machine Skin Transforming Oil Jelly Serum. You can pick that up at Sephora. So let's cut back to the other me. Let's wrap up with the demo of that, and we'll keep moving on to our next steps. Okie dokie. So next thing is one that is a step that I actually don't use, but I was sent this in PR, and I'll mention it because I might start using it, and that is eye cream. I usually will go in with an eye cream I would go in with an eye cream at this step, but I don't use an eye cream personally. I haven't really struggled with fine lines or wrinkles or crow's feet yet, and I think that the other skincare that I get kind of near my temples and around my eyebrows is doing a little bit of preventative work for me. So I don't actively use one because it's another step. It's more money. So until I feel like it's something I really need to start reaching for consistently, I don't use an eye cream. However, I was sent this from Peach and Lily back when I was doing my skincare stuff, and this is their Pure Peach Retinoic Eye Cream. This uses a blend of retinoic acid, which is not retinol, it's a derivative, so it's supposed to be a little bit more gentle, and it also uses bakuchiol, which claims to be the plant-based version of retinol. Retinol is used to plump and firm the skin to alleviate the look of fine lines and wrinkles. Retinol itself, the pure form, has been clinically studied. It is one of the most clinically studied ingredients out there, and it has been shown over time to reduce the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, that type of thing. So there is scientific proof out there that that does work, but it can be hard to adjust to. It can be a rather aggressive ingredient if not formulated properly, and a lot of companies have turned to more gentle versions in place of pure like Retin-A. So they use this retinoic acid, which is a derivative. They use this bakuchiol, which is supposed to be like the plant-based miracle wonder. Everything's still a little up in the air as to how effective those ingredients are as compared to retinol or Retin-A. So your mileage may vary. I'm just not in that point in my life where I'm really churning to those types of ingredients. So it's an option. I personally don't use it right now, but I did want to share it because that's usually an area of concern for a lot of people, is their eye area. So I'm not going to do a demo of this one. This was just a zip through. Instead of doing an eye cream, for me, what I use next is another really fun step, and that is sheet masks. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into our sheet masks here. So a sheet mask is exactly what it sounds like. If you are not familiar with what a sheet mask is, get into it. They are exactly what they sound like. So you're going to have a face-shaped sheet or fabric or paper. There's a lot of different types, and we're gonna talk about that one in the center, which is a really good one, or a really cool one. You can see the word hydrogel here. It's an interesting look. So essentially, what it is a fabric or a sheet that has it's kind of cut with eye holes out of it and a little nose flap, so it goes on your face, and it's soaked in a serum or an essence or some sort of ingredient packed fluid, sometimes even a cream. They're almost lotion based, and they sit on top of your skin from anywhere from 5 to 20, 30 minutes. I've seen some that'll go as long as an hour. And each one has a different claim on focusing on a different thing. Your mileage will always vary depending on how impactful they are. Just like a cleanser, a sheet mask is not something that I look to for overnight results, because I'm usually just, it's a one-time use. Unless you bought 30 of these and used them every single day for 30 days and had that same consistency as like your serum or something else, it's more of a one-hit wonder. I really look for these for, once again, helping to impart hydration and just helping my skin to soak up all the serums, all the toner, the essence, all of that stuff. So putting that wet cloth of a sheet mask on with all the, it might have some benefits itself, but it's really just flooding the skin with as much hydration as it can like physically take on. It's ensuring that that happens. So this isn't for everybody. This is definitely a self-care step for me more than anything else. This is my time to lay back in bed and put on either some chill music or listen to a YouTube video, and it stops me in the middle of like racing through to get through my routine, and it forces me to take a little time. So I usually do this in the PM a few times a week, maybe once a week or whenever I have time. And it's more of creating a moment or a little bit of an experience around my day, and it helps me decompress more than anything else. This is very much an aesthetic kind of just good to have step, more for my mental health than ever than anything else. So it's cute that this has celery and hyaluronic acid. That's great. And it might hydrate and provide an artificial kind of plumping effect like a toner would temporarily. Fine. This has beet and retinol in it, but one-time use sheet mask with retinol, and I'm almost certain, are they using retinol or retinoic acid? Let's see. They're using regular retinol, which is interesting. So it must be in a very small amount. But using it one time, one night, wrinkles aren't going to all fade away. The same with ginger and vitamin C. Brightens dark spots. Yeah, it does if you were to use this every single day for a very long time. So they're cute packaging. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Be Plain is okay. So sorry, Sweet Chef has their own website. We've talked about them before. I love these masks. They are very hydrating, but they leave your skin feeling very nice and dewy and a little glowy and illuminated. It's all, short term, but they're cute. They're cute. I think they even have the brand name printed on the fabric. It's cute. It's a nice to have treat. Be Plain is another Korean brand. This is their Cica Full Calming Mask. So this is another one. Pop this in the fridge. It's got that Cica in it, so it should help to mildly reduce some redness irritation. But the cooling effect of this when it's out of the fridge, if you're like I've said, if your skin's overworked and hot, you pull this out of the fridge, squeeze and future Anthony will show you in the demo if there's any in here. But you can squeeze that extra fluid. Can you see that in there? So usually what I'll do is take the mask out and set it on like a paper towel or something clean, and then I squeeze all the goop out of the package and slather that on my face and then put the sheet mask over it. But this in the fridge, delightful, delightful. The same with this one, another Centella one. So Cica, once again, is Cica, Centella asiatica, Centella. They just different names for the same ingredient. Centella asiatica. This one's really great. Like it says, this is from Benton, which is a Korean brand. You should be able to get both of these on the Soko Glam site, I think. Benton, another Korean brand. This has Centella asiatica to help reduce that redness. They're claiming it's going to help with like the redness of acne, like a whitehead. I don't know about all that. I haven't had that experience, but it helps with like general flushness from just like I said, over exfoliation, sun exposure, overworked skin. It might help with like red spots from acne, but that's kind of a different breed. But yeah, very good at reducing redness in that other regard. So there's another one, great in the fridge. And then this one is the Tea Time Deep Moisture Hydrogel Mask. This is Good Days for All, which is Soko Glam's kind of in-house brand. And this has green tea and oat extracts, and it's a hydrogel mask. So if you can see that, it's this two-piece mask that looks like it has little specks in it. This used to be a mask, a similar mask made by a different brand called Neogen, and it was one of their like most popular sellers, and for whatever reason, Neogen stopped carrying it, and that was such a huge bummer. Well, Soko Glam, from what it seems like, have decided to come out with their own version a few years later. I've never used this particular one, so we're gonna future Anthony is gonna hop over and is gonna pop over and put this on. So let's have him put that on while we're talking. So a calming hydrogel facial mask, and hydrogel almost is like this gelatinous. It's hard to describe. It's like a fruit roll-up kind of material, not sticky, but fruit roll-up kind of like it's like jelly kind of, but solid. Or like a what would I don't know what other people would call that in like other countries if you don't have fruit roll-ups, like a fruit leather, a fruit leather. Calming hydrogel facial mask infused with real green tea leaves and oat extract to soothe the skin and lock in moisture for a healthy, glowing complexion. Loaded with antioxidants to help neutralize free radicals that can stress the skin and premature aging. If you use this all the time, every day. But you have green tea leaf powder, chamomile flower extract, peony root, Centella asiatica, one of our favorite ingredients. I skip over the things I can't pronounce. Oat kernel extract, Camellia sinensis leaf extract, which is green tea leaf extract. You've got broccoli extract, so that's where you're getting some antioxidants. Hotuyina cortata extract, which I believe is mugwort extract, so it's a very soothing, antioxidant-rich ingredient. Calendula flower extract, great for reducing redness. And then we're going to get into a whole bunch of random stuff. A lot of this is used to create that hydrogel material. So hopefully Anthony put that on. Essentially, you just line it up, the top part, then line up the bottom part, and then you just sit back and relax. Do they say how long to leave this on? For 20 minutes. So prep the skin by cleansing and toning. Remove the transparent film from each mask piece. Apply that side of the mask directly on the skin. Leave mask on for 20 minutes. Gently pat excess essence into the skin. So hopefully he did all that. So what I'll have him do is show you how to put it on. He's going to hang out for 20 minutes, and then I'm not doing all this in real time, but then we'll come back with the next step. But sheet masks, not a must. This is definitely a fun to have. Impart some extra moisture. Maybe you'll get a little of these benefits here and there if you're using this once in a while, but I'm not looking for this to immediately just transform my skin. It's me time. It's me time now. So, all right, let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we're almost done with the stuff I put. No, I'm not going to say that. We're getting close. We're getting closer. So sheet masks I use in the evenings almost all the time, or if it's a weekend and I'm having a lazy day, I'll do a midday like mini routine just so I can put a sheet mask on. But just a couple times a week, if that. Next step is kind of the final step at night for me. Yeah, can I say that? Yeah. Final step at night, and that's my moisturizer. So we're almost there. So I brought out a few different moisturizers. This is definitely a step in my routine, or a step in someone's routine that is a little bit more personalized, more focused on what your skin can handle, or what's comfortable for your skin. And that's specific to texture and feel. So I tend to like a very lightweight, oil-free, kind of watery, layerable moisturizer. As you can see, there's a theme here with me layering and just packing hydration onto my skin. I'm less of a person that wants like a thick, buttery kind of cream, dense, like night cream kind of thing. I'm more of like several layers of a lighter moisturizer. But I have a little bit of everything because of my shopping habit and of being sent stuff in PR in my previous life. So, things that you can look out for in moisturizers, you can find in super hydrating moisturizers that'll have a bunch of like butters and oils and very nourishing ingredients, lots of sodium hyaluronate. You can find antioxidant forward moisturizers. You can find ones that are very stripped down, so all it is like some silicone to lock in hydration and some water and some other stuff, and off you go. So they really run the gamut. I have a little smattering of everything. So I just brought out a few examples, and we'll take a look at each of these textures just to get a feel for them. So I can tell you that my favorite out of all of this is the Good Skin Days. This is the same brand as Good Days for All. They changed their branding due to, I believe, a trademark dispute. So it used to be called Good Skin Days. They changed it to Good Days for All. So this is an older packaging. It's the same brand, but you can get this on the Soko Glam site. And this is their On the Bright Side moisturizer. This is a lightweight, oil-free moisturizer that... Is it oil-free? Yes, well... Technically, yes. It has squalane in it, which is a plant-based kind of nourishing ingredient that mimics the skin's natural oils, but it isn't oil. So it's got squalane in it. It's got the rice ferment. So this is kind of an essence and moisturizing form. But this is one of my favorites from previous years. It's a new bottle. But it's just a super nice lightweight. I'm going to show you these textures, and then I'll show you what I'm using. Oh crap, I'm low on battery. Oh no. So super lightweight, just goes right into skin. It's not oily, it's not greasy, it leaves you with kind of a silky finish, but it's really nice in the summer. It's really nice on like hot days. Whoops. It's just not too heavy. If you're someone like me that doesn't like those heavy feeling moisturizers, those with super dry skin might want something. This might not feel like enough for you, but I really like that one. And it does have some nice brightening properties, which is cool. I'm going to try to get through this, and then we're going to have to take a break so I can charge the phone a little bit. So there's that one. Then next up we have my go-to for either evenings when my skin's feeling particularly dehydrated, or my winter dry weather, is from Peach and Lily. You can get this at Ulta. It's their matcha pudding antioxidant cream. I love this one. So this actually has matcha in it, which is really intensely antioxidant powered. And if I didn't mention it before, antioxidants in skincare is great. You can never get enough. Essentially, they help to fight free radicals and environmental stressors, such as damage from sun exposure and damage from the pollutants in the air. So they can really help with anti-aging, and they can actually help as a defense against other more serious skin conditions. But I'm not a scientist or a dermatologist, but just from what I've read. So you can see it's got this custardy kind of green color to it. And it's going to go on a little heavier, a little thicker than the previous one. You can see how it's doesn't quite water out, like get really thin and watery. It's more of a cream, but it still feels really light on the skin after everything's said and done. Just a little bit of that kind of blanket feeling over the skin. But I love this at night or in the winter. It's just cozy while still being refreshing, and it always leaves my skin feeling really nice and deeply hydrated in those drier months when my skin's feeling particularly parched. So you can see it's not greasy. It's nice. So those are probably two of my favorites. And then I won't show you the textures just for time's sake on these next ones. Actually, I do want to show you one more. So the next one I'll show you is from First Aid Beauty. It's their Ultra Repair Cream Intense Hydration. I think I got this for a steal at like TJ Maxx or something like that. This is not the type of cream that I would typically go for because I believe this will be too heavy for my skin. This is meant to help to hydrate, just like it says, dry, parched skin, relieving mild irritation and itching due to eczema or other conditions. I don't know how they can make those claims without like an asterisk there, but anyway, this, from what I've seen other people, I'm going to do this hand now. So I'll just put it here. But this is much more of like a dense, thick cream, and it's supposed to provide that hydrating layer. You can see how much longer this is taking to absorb and kind of work into the skin. So this is much better suited for like very dry, parched skin. I could find myself feeling a little stifled with this. Like, ugh, my skin feels like just packed with something, you know. I like light layers that I can, or light hydrators that I can layer. Let me be the judge of how much is enough. Don't hit me with intense with one application. Let me do like 3 applications of something lighter. Okay, so I'll let that be that. These are another 2. Oh, you can get this at Sephora. Like I said, you might be able to snag it at a TJ Maxx, Marshalls. This Peach Slices can be found at Ulta. This is an all-in-one oil-free moisturizer, once again with snail mucin. I have yet to use this, but I was just providing another example of an oil-free moisturizer, so they may be using squalane. No, I think maybe they're using the snail secretion filtrate as their kind of lock-in ingredient. I'm very curious about this one. So there's that, and then Rovectin, and we've seen this brand again. You can get this at Wish Trend. This is just a very popular item. It's their Lotus Water Cream. I believe this is an oil-free moisturizer that uses, the lotus flower extract is its main ingredient. And so I've heard very good things. Super lightweight, super layerable. I think I'm going to love this one. So let's cut over to Anthony doing his moisturizer real quick. And he's using I say Anthony as if it's a different person. He's using the Make Beauty Succulent Skin Gel Cream. I've been using this one for quite a while now. About halfway done with it. It is a light gel style formula that uses prickly pear and cactus, which I believe are just really good hydrators. They probably have some antioxidant qualities, niacinamide for brightening, and hyaluronic acid. So this has been an excellent go-to for the summer. Not too heavy. I can do a couple layers of this. I've even been putting it on my scalp when my hair was super duper short, just to hydrate it a little bit, and then I'd put sunscreen on top. So this has been a really nice lightweight summer moisturizer. Just a couple pumps in my hand. Work that through my hands and then gently massage into skin. A combination massage and pat. A couple more pumps behind the ears, around the neck, pretty much any, like I said, chest up for a lot of this stuff if I wasn't wearing a shirt. But we can do neck. And then my hair is getting a little bit long enough now that I'm not super scared of the conditioner that I use should be fine. But when my hair is really short, or if I'm completely bald, I will moisturize my scalp because it tends to get dry and I don't want any flakiness and stuff. So this was a good all-over lotion, and yeah, very happy with it so far. This Make Beauty brand is a relatively new brand to the scene. Well, it's probably about a year old now, year and a half old, but good products from Make Beauty. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and, before we move on to the next clip, take a little break. I'm going to feed Apollo. I'm going to feed myself maybe a little snack, get some more water, and when we come back, we've got one final step that's in my core routine, and it's the most important step in my entire routine. It's, aside from cleanser, it's the only other thing I suggest that everyone do consistently. And then we'll have some honorable mentions and some odds and ends that I won't do demos of, but we'll just briefly touch on them, and then we're done. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Bye. Okie dokie. So we are hopefully have enough battery to get through the rest of this. So we are at the final kind of core step in my routine. If I didn't mention, for moisturizers, I use a moisturizer mostly in PM only. unless it's a day where I really am not leaving the house, or I know I'm not leaving the house for a good part of the day, then I will use a moisturizer step in the AM as well. Essentially, I guess I didn't really cover why you use a moisturizer. Most moisturizers are going to have some sort of occlusive in them that has some sort of nourishing oil or silicone like dimethicone that helps to hold moisture once again to the skin for a long period of time. It almost acts as kind of like a seal for everything, but that term's a little bit of a misnomer because your skin doesn't know, like, oh, he's applying moisturizer, I'll leave this one at the top. Like, your skin just soaks everything up. It just turns into a big old ingredient soup on the surface of your skin at a certain point. So the really it's more about how it feels and how easy it is to actually apply those different products. So for instance, like let's say I wanted to do my face oil right after cleanser and then just try to put like a toner on top. That toner's just gonna kind of slop around and roll around because now it's having that oil to deal with that was applied first. So sometimes it's just more about how easy it is to get the products and ingredients on your skin. So most people are going to go thinnest to thickest or most watery to most oily and go in that direction as opposed to mixing that up or go in the reverse. So that's why I start with the essence and the toner and then move to the serum and then to the moisturizer. So it kind of goes from most watery to most dense. So that's just a general rule of thumb. It doesn't always have to be like that. You could absolutely mix that up if you so choose. Your skin's not going to know the difference. It's just how much of a pain in the butt is it going to be to do it a different way. So I quickly wanted to touch on that. And like I said, moisturizers are very personal. Some people want something very heavy. Some people want something very thin. But I typically only use a moisturizer in the PM because in the AM, my sunscreen is my moisturizer. That's kind of my final step, my final layer. So let's talk about sunscreen. This is a topic that I still feel, but back when I was in love with skincare, writing a lot about it, this was my most passionate step, the thing that I felt most strongly about. It still is, and I was trying to jog my memory for some numbers and details. So I'm kind of excited. Maybe you might learn something new that you didn't know about sunscreen. But sunscreen essentially is a protective barrier or an occlusive layer that we put on at the very last step of our routine to help block, and actually that's also kind of a misnomer, but help to reduce the amount of UVA and UVB exposure we experience when we go outside, when we're next to windows, that type of thing. So there is, I guess, as far as like, I'm like, where do I even start with this? So, okay, hold on, cut. Okay, sorry. So there are a whole myriad of different ingredients that are used to provide this protection, this UVA and UVB protection. They have been kind of watered down to be put in two separate categories. Some people call it physical sunscreens or chemical sunscreens. Some people call them organic and inorganic sunscreens. More and more research is proving that there really isn't a difference in how sunscreens work. Even though one might be more visible to the naked eye than the other, they still operate the same way. Essentially, how it works is the chemicals in your sunscreen absorb the UVA and UVB rays that are hitting your skin. They absorb those rays and diffuse them as heat onto the surface of the skin. So they take it in, they convert it into heat energy and diffuse it across your skin. So that's how almost every single sunscreen works. Some people think that the physical sunscreens, those ingredients are most commonly zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, actually reflect, like physically bounce the ray away from your skin, whereas chemical sunscreens like octocrylene, homosalate, There's so many other technical like sunscreen ingredients, and the list of approved sunscreen chemicals or ingredients is growing and growing. Some people thought that those were the only ones that absorb and diffuse, but it turns out that they kind of all do that. It's just the physical look or the look of those older style sunscreens, the zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. They're very thick and they're very white. So people just associate that with reflecting because it kind of looks like that's what it's doing, but in essence, it's not a shield. It's more of a heat sink essentially across the board. So that's how your sunscreen works: is it absorbs those rays, diffuses them across the surface of your skin as heat. UVA and UVB rays do affect the skin in different ways. UVA rays penetrate deeper into the dermal layer, your skin, and those are mostly known as your aging rays. Those are the rays that are going to cause premature aging, wrinkles. Those are usually the ones that are going to be, well, I mean, it's a combo of both, but UVA is more known to be the kind of ray that impacts your skin at a cellular level. So think of like skin cancers, those types of things. UVA is usually your culprit there, whereas UVB rays are your burn rays. They really impact the surface of the skin, and that's what is going to cause you to burn, you to crisp, you to tan, all of that stuff. So when you look at your sunscreens, that's why you are looking for a broad spectrum sunscreen. So SPF measures UVB rays, your burning rays, whereas the listing of broad spectrum is just a blanket statement confirming that that product has been shown to help block UVA rays. And SPF ratings are a rating of how many seconds it takes a patch of skin to redden with the sunscreen on versus a sample patch or your I forget what that's called when you're doing an experiment. Oh my goodness. Anyway, your other patch, your test patch that has no sunscreen. So it's that differentiation of time with the product and without that gives you your SPF rating. So that's how they give the 30s, the 50s, the 70s, and the 100s, all of that good stuff. So one other thing that is potentially good to know is a lot of companies and a lot of studies will say that higher SPF isn't necessarily better. The difference between an SPF 50 and a 100 is only a couple percent. It's the difference of 97.6% protection to 99. That might sound negligible, but keep in mind that 97% protection is at the 50. So it's not like that's zero. It's hard to think about like only that couple of percentage points being that big of a difference, but it really is when you look at, if 50's doing like 97.6% and 100's doing 99% protection, that's actually a big gap when you look at kind of the scale of it all. So I always go with higher's better. I don't always abide by that. I don't always buy the highest protection because things like texture, things like feel, a lot of that stuff also plays a role into how frequently you'll use sunscreen. If it's greasy and disgusting and horrible to have on, then you're less likely to reach for it. So I am a big proponent of finding a good balance. I think 50 is right for me in most situations, but I do have sunscreens that go higher depending on my situation. If I'm out camping, if I know I'm going to be baking in the sun, if I'm going to the water park, then I'm probably going to just grit and bear it with the 100 SPF to at least on my body, and then maybe wear a hat or something, because protective clothing is also a lot more impactful than SPF, or in combination with SPF, I think is the 1-2 punch to really save your skin. So you shouldn't always just be relying on sunscreen. So that's kind of my little rant about sunscreen. I know that there's been studies that have shown that, okay, a couple more things. Studies have shown that you will find your skin absorbs these sunscreens, that they don't just sit perfectly on the surface of the skin. Your skin is absorbing some of those chemicals, and those chemicals, just like anything else we put on or in our body, can show up in our bloodstream. So tests have shown that trace amounts of octocrylene, homosalate, those types of things can find their way into our bodies. It is slightly less likely that the zinc oxide, titanium dioxide will find its way into your bloodstream, but there hasn't been anything that's shown that there is long-term effects of that. And the what you have to think about is skin cancers are the number one diagnosed cancer in the US. And how many diagnoses of chronic diseases or long-term health adverse health effects have been diagnosed in that same amount of time from exposure to sunscreen? Zero. So it's like, pick your poison. I would prefer to not have to deal with skin grafts, those types of things, and live a full life than being scared of something that hasn't been proven really at all. So that's my stance on it. I am a sunscreen proponent. If there's nothing else that I try to encourage people, or no other takeaways when I get nerdy about skincare, is that nothing else matters. Anything that we talked about, none of the toners, none of the this plumping that, hydrating that, none of that matters if you're not protecting your skin from UV exposure in some way. You're basically taking 2 steps backward, 1 step forward if you do all of that and then you walk out of the door without anything on. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Don't invest in skincare if you're not going to start with a good sunscreen. So, and then the other thing, what was I going to talk about? The other thing I was going to mention, I think that might have been it. I was trying to cover all of my, like, people say this, but it's just categorically not true. Oh, reef safe. Yes. Okay, so up until I think 2022 is the latest I have researched this, but this test that showed that chemicals in ingredients in chemical sunscreen, so octocrylene, I forget which exact ones it is, can degrade or contribute to the degradation of coral reefs, was done in a lab study with incredibly high concentration of those ingredients compared to what we see in the real world. So it's just, sure, yes, if there was a high enough concentration of this ingredient directly near coral reefs, then yes, it could negatively impact the health of those coral reefs. But think of it like there's a difference between putting a cap of laundry detergent into a highball glass, like a small glass of water. There's a difference between doing that and dumping that same cap full of laundry detergent into a swimming pool. The dilution is going to be such that the whole pool is not going to foam up, right? But in that glass, it's a much different reaction. So that's kind of what the study was. It's proving that yes, at a high enough concentration, those chemicals could negatively impact coral reefs, but is there a direct correlation with what we're seeing in our current oceans? No. That it's on the list of things that are impacting the world's coral reefs. Sunscreen chemical exposure is like number 1,400 and something on the list. Like, we have much bigger fish to fry than keeping someone from walking out into the ocean with their sunscreen on. So it's one of those things that it's like someone did some research. The findings, if presented in a certain way, can seem alarming. And then suddenly it opens up a whole new industry of, now we get to slap Reef Safe on our products and sell them for 70 cents more, or claim that they're cleaner than something else, when if you really look at the research and you really think about and extrapolate that, it's not that cut and dry. And we could spend that same amount of money on fighting things that truly are a direct, immediate impact to our ecosystem. Okay, putting the soapbox down. Don't everyone stop being afraid of sunscreen, please. It will. It's the one thing here that will save your skin. So enough. Okay, all right. So let's talk about, now that I'm done with that, let's talk about sunscreen, the sunscreens that I like and why. And then we're going to apply our sunscreen, but I want this to be a takeaway too, is showing how much sunscreen it really takes to get full, proper coverage, how it's tested on people's skin to get these ratings. So let's get there. All right, so when it comes to sunscreen, this is my final step before I walk out the door. Sometimes I wear sunscreen indoors if it's a super bright day and I'm gonna be near windows, working near my craft table, popping out for a quick errand. It's easier for me just to put it on in the morning with everything else than to remember, like, ooh, I'm gonna run to the store real quick and be like, wait, sunscreen. So I tend to be fairly diligent about it. If I wear it indoors, before I do go out, I try to remember to reapply if it's been longer than 2 hours. That doesn't always happen, but my rule of thumb is make sure that under direct sun exposure, you're applying your sunscreen every 2 hours. So because of that, the constant reapplication and using it frequently, I like a very lightweight, and that's a theme for my skincare, very lightweight, almost nearly kind of watery sunscreen with high protection. I'm looking for something that does not have any fragrance or a scent. It can have synthetic fragrance, but I try to really avoid essential oils, especially in my sunscreen, more specifically citrus oils. I'm not sure if you've seen the like Reddit stuff and the TikTok stuff of people accidentally giving themselves burns by putting lime juice or lemon juice accidentally on their skin and exposing it to sun. The chemical compounds inside of those juices kind of morph and they can really burn your skin pretty severely. So I am very wary if a sunscreen says, oh, I've got lemon peel oil in me, or I've got lime peel oil for a fun citrus scent. It's not likely that you're going to get crazy burns from that product, but if you're super sensitive or very fair skinned, anything like that could trigger a reaction. So I'm not fair skinned, but I just avoid citrus fragrance oils, and I try to avoid them in all sunscreens. And I'm looking for, like I said, 50 SPF is ideal for me. And you'll notice on a lot of Korean sunscreens and now more Western sunscreens are providing this rating is a PA rating. The PA rating is a little bit more of a accurate representation of UVA protection. So you'll see here that we have SPF 50. That's our UVB. Broad spectrum is the Western way of saying it, but PA+++ is now becoming more common as a rating for UVA protection. So 1+ is like mild protection, 2+ is like moderate, 3 is excellent, and then 4, you can go all the way to 4+, and 4 is like crazy, like the highest you can get in that rating system. So it's becoming more and more widely recognized, as opposed to broad spectrum doesn't tell you how good it is at protecting against UVA. So this is a US brand, and you can see they're also offering SPF 40, broad spectrum, PA+++. So you can go up to 4+, which I'll show you one here shortly. So that's just some key things that I'm looking for. The last thing I'm looking for is I only wear chemical sunscreens. Zinc oxide, titanium dioxide are also, it's not like those are like picked, oh, my zinc oxide tree's ready. Like it's so many like weird misnomers to try to like scare people into, I don't know. There's a lot of fear mongering in skincare, which can be a separate video. But yeah, so I look for chemical only sunscreens, meaning my active ingredients need to be It's so hard to see these. These are becoming more and more accepted in the U.S. Some of these like methacrylene cross polymer. A lot of these are all sunscreen filters, but some of the old school ones that you used to see a lot. I think Supergoop is more traditional. Yes, Supergoop is this brand, Supergoop, they are a little bit more traditional in what they offer. Avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, octocrylene. Those are your four like standard classic sunscreen filters that were approved in the US, but we're starting to catch up with the rest of the globe in offering some of these more niche ones that you typically only saw coming from Korea and international EU sunscreens, but now and Australia is also really good about more modern sunscreen filters. So Then I Met You apparently got approval to start selling this. I don't know, maybe because it's made in Korea and shipped here, but maybe. Oh, no, I lied to you. Look at here. Avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, octocrylene. They may be using these, what they're calling inactive ingredients, are technically sunscreen filters, but because they are sold from the US, even though this is made in Korea, they still have to use these too. So there's a lot of sunscreen filters in this product. But you'll most likely see chemical sunscreens, avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. Those are your most common chemical sunscreens. Your most common physical, quote unquote, are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Now, why would I want to pick one over the other? I honestly would not have a preference if it was not for what we call in the skincare world the white cast. If you are someone that is of a deeper skin tone, applying a zinc oxide or titanium oxide sunscreen can leave you with a very ashen, like almost kind of like grayish look. Almost sometimes it's like a grayish purple on my skin. You just look very sickly. You can see the streaks where you applied the sunscreen because it does not. Those chemicals don't dry clear, or they don't come off as clear. So it's just very noticeable when you're wearing sunscreen. It gives you a very strange look. And so I really struggled with hearing claims from brands that, oh, our zinc oxide is XYZ, it dries clear, transparent, perfect for deeper skin tones. I can tell you for a fact, and hand on a whatever book you want, I've never used a single zinc or titanium oxide sunscreen that has worked for my deeper skin tone. Zero. No matter how many times people claim it, you can't change the structure of those ingredients down to a way that they're not visible. You have to use ingredients like what are represented here to get that truly clear, very easily absorbed, not necessarily easily absorbed, but that dry kind of translucent on the skin. So that's why I pick these types of sunscreens, even though some people claim that they're worse for you. The cons do not outweigh the benefits from protecting my skin. So that's why I go with these. Okay, so what we have in front of us, and I keep saying these as if I've used both of these before, but I haven't. So this is from Then I Met You. This is their Essence Light Sunscreen. This is actually new to their product range. This is one recent purchase I have made from a skincare shop. This is available on Soko Glam. Broad spectrum SPF 50, PA+++, right up my alley. Most of the time, you're going to find 50 milliliters in the majority of face-specific sunscreens. But I saw a lot of stuff that I liked here. We have ferment filtrates here for some extra brightening, some good ceramides, hyaluronic acid. So I'm seeing some stuff that I'm happy with on this ingredients list, and I don't think I'm seeing no oils, no essential oils, nothing like that. So this should be fairly nice to wear and reapply. Fingers crossed it goes well, but I've had nothing but good luck from this brand. So very excited to try that. Now Supergoop, this is their Unseen Sunscreen Body. They have a face version of this as well. I don't know what the major difference is between the body and the face one. Your ingredients here include dimethicone, which is in the other one. And then you've also got, there's a lot of silicones in this one, but it doesn't leave my skin feeling any kind of weird way. You do have Olea, oh, olive oil. Okay, that's fine. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward ingredients list, but I want to show you this because this is the power of those chemical sunscreens. If you are somebody that struggled with like, oh, you know, I've got a deeper skin tone and I hate wearing sunscreen because it always leaves me looking ashy or like, you know, ghostly or streaky, it's just not worth it. This is definitely worth looking into because they formulate their sunscreen in a way that it's a clear gel. So look at that sunscreen. So that's SPF 40. Not the, you know, not the highest, but not the lowest. Look at, and it leaves your skin with almost like a primer kind of feel. So it's kind of silky, kind of satiny because it's got that dimethicone or the silicones in it. So if you don't mind that feel, I honestly don't. And it feels fine on the skin. It's not greasy. It's not like your normal like sunscreen. It's just fantastic. This is my go-to for my face. This is my first time trying the body one. It feels almost identical. They have a smaller one for your face. But when in doubt, this is the sunscreen that I buy. If I'm either running low on something or if I just I forgot my sunscreen and we're going up, you know, I'll be like, stop over here at Ulta. I need to get sunscreen. But this is always my default because it's completely clear. It is probably my favorite sunscreen of all time for face and now probably for body too. So and zero fragrance. It smells like maybe there's a little sunscreen scent just from the chemical sunscreens, but it's so minimal. It's fantastic. I already love this one just from the look of that. So yeah, I'm gonna cut to Anthony, future Anthony, applying his sunscreen. So he's gonna be using, which one should we apply? Anthony, future Anthony, you tell me. Okay, let's do, oh, okay. We're gonna do, I have two going right now. So future Anthony is applying the vegan sun cream from the Korean brand Hygge or Hyggee. It's Hyggee. Like I said, you can get the Super Goop one at Ulta or Sephora. Just sorry, future Anthony. Hyggee or Hygge. This can be purchased on Style Korean, Yes Style, if you so choose. I believe this might be available on this website Olive Young as well. I'll try to put in the link. Vegan sunscreen SPF 50 plus. Typically with Korean sunscreens, they won't tell you it's SPF 70 or SPF 100 because 50 is kind of their high end. Doesn't mean that it doesn't offer more protection than that, but they'll list it as 50 plus. You typically won't see a 70 or 100. It'll just say it's above 50 and that's what you need. And then PA++++, 4 pluses, so maximum UVA protection. It says a high-performing sun protection with skin-nourishing and vegan formula. I believe this has like squalane and like a couple other good antioxidants, which are always nice to have in a sunscreen pretty much throughout your routine. But I like this because it doesn't leave my skin super oily. It leaves my skin with a nice dewy glow, and I like a glowy skin. I don't like a matte finish on my skin. I want light to reflect off of it. I want that kind of healthy, youthful, kind of dewy look that enhances like the plumpness. So I'm always trying to find a balance with my sunscreens and my moisturizers between dewy and kind of glowy, almost even like an intense glow, but not slipping into like oil slick. And that's a fine line to walk, but this sunscreen seems to be doing well. But what I want Anthony to really show you, future Anthony, is just how much sunscreen is truly needed to get a good application. So the common recommendation and common use for when they test sunscreens is you're going to want to apply approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of a teaspoon of your sunscreen to your face, ears, and neck. So just face, ears, neck should be approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of a teaspoon of sunscreen, depending on obviously the amount of the square footage of your of your mug. I have a big old head, so I would probably lean more towards like 1/3 of a teaspoon or like a heaping 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to show you, Future Anthony is going to show you what this looks like most. This is kind of a good hack if you so choose. There's a hack called, and that's equivalent to 1.23 milliliters in every 1/4 teaspoon. So a good hack is to do what they call the 3 fingers method. So you're going to apply your sunscreen on your three, not your pinky, not your thumb, your 3 kind of center fingers, a pretty thick run of sunscreen from where your finger starts to the tip, finger starts to tip, finger starts to tip. That's 3 fingerfuls of sunscreen. That is kind of a hack that'll get you close without having to measure every time, of getting the approximate amount you'll need for your face, ears, and neck. However, if you have particularly small hands and a big old head, you might need to add an extra finger there, or if you've got giant hands and a tiny head, like you figure it out, but it's just a good way to kind of remember. They call it the 3 fingers method. So that's usually what I do, is 3 full fingers of sunscreen. It's a lot more than you'd think, but that's really what you need. So I'm going to have Future Anthony not apply that. Not apply that. He's going to wipe it off. And then what he's going to do, and what I'm doing, is I have a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and actually fill this thing up to the brim, and then a little bit more to equate for that 1/3 teaspoon, to show you in an actual measurement what that looks like in the palm of your hand. And I think you might be surprised by just how much sunscreen that really equates to. So I feel like another common thing that we do is we under apply our sunscreen. So I'll go ahead and let Future Anthony show you that, show you how much that looks like in the palm of his hand, massage it in. As he's massaging that sunscreen, and you can see how long it takes to get all of that in, it's just more of a time-consuming process than I think a lot of us want to commit to, especially if we're already at the beach, we're already there with our towels out, we're ready to go jump in. We're not sitting there like thinking about that, but it's really important to think about that. And any exposed part of your body, like just extrapolate on that, just how much sunscreen you really need on yourself for proper full protection. I think that's why a lot of people put on sunscreen and a couple pumps, off we go, and then they're like, I'm still burned. It's like, you need to like be in the sunscreen or wearing protective clothing. So the other thing to keep in mind as well is the recommendation is to reapply your sunscreen after being in the water, exposed to water, and or every 2 hours if you're not being exposed to water where it could wash off. So think about just how much sunscreen that is. When you do the math, the average face bottle of sunscreen is 50 milliliters, and there is, and you need 1.23 approximately milliliters, probably a little bit more, to do an application on your face. So that means you're going to get 40.65 applications from each bottle of sunscreen. I'm going to round that down to 40 because I've got a bigger head. Sometimes I might apply a little bit more. So I can do this 40 times. So if I'm out and about for 4 hours during the summer, just playing, hiking, being outside, that means that this will last me 20 days for a sunscreen. Sometimes these sunscreens, these really nice sunscreens, can be pricey, 15 to 30 bucks plus. So you're looking at, $1 an $2 a day to keep sunscreen on your face, just on your face. If you're out at the beach all day, you've got a 6-hour day out there, then, that's going to only last you a couple weeks before you need to buy a new bottle. So I personally think that if nothing else, if I had to pick one thing to consistently buy and give up everything else, I would keep my cleanser, my water-based cleanser, and my sunscreen. And that's it. Because I need to put the sunscreen on, and then I need to wash it off, and then I need to put it on, and then I need to wash it off. And I could probably wash my face twice with a water cleanser and be relatively okay, and probably skip the oil cleanser if I had to. But when push comes to shove, put the sunscreen on, wash it off. Put it on, wash it off. That's my bare minimum. So yeah, outside of that, like I said, I'm sure other Anthony is done. So yeah, coming back, I'll just pop back over to me. So right now I'm using that Higgy High-G vegan sun cream, very nice. I'm also using the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice plus Probiotics. This is a nice cooling sunscreen, surprisingly, and I really like it. SPF 50 plus PA 4 pluses, so maximum protection. These are both really good. You can get this on that Yes Style Korean. Oh, the other site is called Jolse, or Jols, Jolse. So yeah, these are really good, and I'm sure this Then I Met You one's going to be fine. Easier to access, this one, and the same with the Super Goop. So my sunscreens are really my best friend. They help to prevent the darkening of hyperpigmentation that happens during sun exposure. So they just make sure that all the other stuff I'm doing actually matters. And I might be protecting myself from potential dangerous sun exposure. I will say that sun protective clothing is a really great way to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So you're going to look for that clothing that has that universal protection factor, UPF rating. So let me cut back over to future Anthony, other Anthony. I want him to do a little bit of a fashion show to show you other things that I wear to protect my face and my body from sun exposure when I'm out and about. So the first thing that I have is a big old sun hat that I put on when I go hiking in bright sun. It's a big wide brim. It's got the kind of fisherman's neck behind it to protect my neck and my ears from sun exposure. So I'll wear that. I will also wear arm sleeves. It's just a sleeve, so it's not a full shirt. So I can remove them, put them on and off as I please. So those help to protect my arms from sun exposure when I'm out. I'm always almost hiking in pants in really bright direct sunlight. I prefer just to hike in pants to protect my legs. And then if it's particularly bright out, or I'm feeling particularly anxious about something on my face, like if I've got an acne scar that I really don't want to, I don't want to mess with it, then I have from the brand Buff. They are a head cover. So it kind of is like a balaclava that kind of just covers my nose and down, and then I'll wear that with the sun hat and a pair of glasses, and I look like the Invisible Man because you can't see any bare skin. But that's if you're really looking to protect your skin and you don't mind going those extra steps if it's of the utmost importance to you. Those are some things that you can do. Of course, if I'm going to the water park or out to the beach, I'm not going to walk around like a fool, like trying to ride a water slide in pants and sleeves, and it's impractical in certain situations. But if I'm just running around town or going on a hike where I'm not doing anything, I'm just out by myself, then yeah, I'm going to protect myself. If I'm at the water park, if I'm going to the beach, if I'm in a public setting, then I'm going to do as much as I can with fabric. But if that's not an option, then sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Be very diligent about that. So that's my it means a lot to me. That's the most important part of my routine, and I think it really has made the biggest impact on keeping everything else I'm doing worthwhile. So I'm going to stop you for just a minute. We have some honorable mentions, and then we're going to wrap this up, okay? 1 second. Okay, so honorable mentions, these are just going to be, I'm not demoing any of this stuff. It's just a couple things to be aware of. So for lips, I am very bad about taking care of my lips because I rarely get cracked or dry lips. I sometimes do. So these are more of an emergency situation. This is a lip treatment balm that I really like from Laneige. It's just a kind of dense, thick balm that you put on, usually in the PM. This is my second one. The other one lasted me like a year and a half because I rarely use it. But a nice lip treatment balm. If you've got dry, cracked lips, you want to look for something that's got like lanolin in it. Sometimes if you find one that's got like a shea butter in it, that's also good. Something else, if it has a soothing quality as well to it, maybe it has chamomile or something like that, that can be really nice to soothe irritated lips. So this is from Laneige. You can get this at Sephora. Then we have the K-Beauty Rescue Balm. I can't tell you how many of these I've gone through. It's a super thick, heavy, dense, oily balm that's kind of a multi-purpose balm. Think of it like Vaseline, but better. So I really got to squeeze it. I'm literally giving it everything I've got. Okay. And then you just get a little bit. Very dense. If you have difficulty squeezing or with with hand strength, I would put it on a table and put body weight to it and then put your finger kind of like this rather than trying to squeeze it like that. But it's got sunflower seed oil in it. I forget what coptis root extract is. Is that burdock? I forget what that is, but they're like soothing ingredients, healing ingredients. And so this is great for lips. It's a little heavy for lips unless you're using it at night. But this is great for mild like little scrapes, and I've even put it on a burn one time and it helped out fairly well. It's good on the cuticles. It's good on dry elbows, dry knees, cracked skin. It's just like a nice salve, and it's not super heavy or like greasy like a Vaseline. It still absorbs nicely. You can see it's giving me a little bit of a sheen, but not much. You just use it all over the place. You can use this on your face in like dry, chapped areas. Like maybe you came back from like a really cold, windy walk around and you've got like a chapped cheek, or you deal with that kind of stuff, then this can work. But I wouldn't use this during the daytime, like out and about. I don't know. It's too heavy for my skin, but you could. Taking a look at the box, this rescue balm melts right into skin, hydrates, and protects. Free of mineral oil or petroleum, it pampers you with beautiful blend of sunflower seed oil and ceramides. A solve all salve for skin. It's good to use everywhere from chapped lips to cuticles, ashy elbows, oh hey, and pesky flyaways. Interesting. So this can be picked up at Ulta, and I just have it around, and anytime someone's like, ooh, my lips, or ooh, my this, oh, my that, I snag my K-Beauty Rescue Balm. I'm like, put this on now. And no added fragrance. It just smells like a light oil. So very nice. Just a nice little honorable mention. These are just when they're not part of a routine. They're in my arsenal when I need them. Okie dokie. All right. Last thing, I guess, for lips is my AM lip thing. I do use this every day. This is Cannon Balm 140. It's just a giant sunscreen lip balm. It's lasted me a long time, this Duke Cannon brand. I don't like their marketing. They've got some misogynistic vibes. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't care for how they market their products. It's very like, we're for men, and like, it's just like, give me a break. Can you just sell me can I just buy a lip balm without it having to be just like, calm down, all right? I don't need a giant lip balm to prove my masculinity. All right, enough. So it's a nice lip balm. It's got SPF 30. The 140 means it stands up to 140 degrees before melting, so you can leave this in the center console of your car. You can, leave it wherever you want. Like if you've got it in a backpack or something sitting outside, it won't melt and turn into a big old mess. So that's why I bought it. But it works really well. It's got a slight kind of minty, like peppermint, spearmint taste and scent to it. It's not superly strong, and it uses avobenzone, octanoxate, octosalate, octocrylene, and oxybenzone. So this would not be a reef-safe balm, but yeah. Okay. All right, and then Oh, my current body sunscreen is from Banana Boat. This is such a classic sunscreen. This is SPF 50 plus. It says breathable formula. Okay. UVA, UVB, it's broad spectrum. I have a gallon size of this that I refill this bottle with. I go through a ton of sunscreen. We just started doing our summery kind of hikes. I guess that's not true. We've done a few hikes throughout this first year, but I filled this up probably around February and I'm about halfway done. We haven't gone on too many hikes, but I try to reapply every 2 hours when I'm outside. So I put it on before I leave the house. Every 2 hours, another slather on my arms, on my legs, anywhere that's exposed. Even on my arms when I'm wearing sleeves, I'll still put this on just as extra protection. Sometimes I'll just put it on my hands because your hands are a very common area to develop skin cancer. Because when you drive, your hands are exposed to the sun. They're out there in front of the windshield. Behind your ears on your left side is also a common place where people develop skin cancer because the sun is shining from your driver's side down behind your ear from the window. So those are two very common places. So I go through a lot of that. Not my favorite body sunscreen, but because I use so much, that can get really pricey. So I'm willing to compromise a little bit on texture and feel. That one has that classic like water park, slightly greasy sunscreen feel, but I just use so much. It's not, I don't have the money to buy the fancy sunscreen constantly. So I get a gallon a year of the Banana Boat. Anyway, okay, last four things. When I'm out and about, I like to, I guess these are face things, my bad. When I'm out and about, when I'm reapplying my sunscreen, if I've been sweaty and gross and I want to refresh, that's where I introduce a makeup wipe. So these are from CeraVe. They're hydrating, makeup removing, plant-based wipes. These are, from what I remember, these are biodegradable. Nope, they are compostable. So you can compost these at home, which we have an at-home composter, which I love. So what I'll do is every 2 hours, maybe I won't do it every 2 hours, but if I'm stopping to reapply sunscreen and I'm sweaty, that's gross. Like that feels gross to be slapping on more sunscreen on top of sweaty skin. So I hit the reset button. I will give myself a good wipe down with these hydrating plant-based makeup remover wipes and then reapply my sunscreen. So it just kind of refreshes. This isn't a super practical option if you are a makeup wearer to start all over from scratch. This is really when I'm being active. If I'm out hiking or whatever, that's when these come into play. I'm not a makeup wearer, so it doesn't impact me, but that's how I use them. Before I reapply my sunscreen after I wipe down, I like to give myself a little burst of hydration just to hydrate my skin again, just to refresh. So I will use a little face mist from time to time. This is from Glow Recipe and it's their Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist. This smells a little bit like watermelon candy. It has watermelon seed oil in it and watermelon extract. And it's a very hydrating, glow-inducing, illuminating mist, but it's also very refreshing. So I will do this when I'm out on a hike. I will mist, after I wipe my face down, I'll mist this on just to kind of, it's almost like getting hit with like a fresh like watermelon kind of spring water, and then I'll put my sunscreen on. So I don't always use it. It's a treat for sure, but it keeps the hydration on your skin too. And it's ultra fine. Look at this. I'm going to spray it past the camera. Look at that. It's not like a squirt bottle. It's like a fogger. And it just like envelops your face with this like sweet, refreshing watermelon kind of hydrating mist. It's fantastic. It's just a treat. I like it. Okay, last couple things. I'm so sorry. This is going to be the longest video ever. Body. Your body is... your body skin is just as important as your face skin. It still shows those signs of aging, those types of things. So I have a couple exfoliating products that I like to use when I have rough skin in certain areas, if I've got a little ingrown hair situation. A lot of people, sometimes we don't like to talk about the below the neck, below the waist kind of stuff, but I don't care for it as intensely, like not all of this stuff, but there's a couple things that I reach for. I really enjoy these alpha beta exfoliating body treatments from Dr. Dennis Gross. You take this out, it's like a little towelette. It's about yay big, maybe 4 times the size of this, and it's soaked in an AHA BHA exfoliating fluid, and I just wipe down like any rough areas between the thighs. If I've got like darkened areas of certain parts of my body, this is supposed to help lighten it. But mainly I focus on if I've got like a little back pimple situation, a little thigh pimple situation, a little ingrown hair situation here and there, I'll grab a little wipe and you just wipe it and let it sit. This isn't a rinse off, it's nothing. You just wipe the impacted area after you hop out of the shower. You're good to go. If you are a shaver anywhere on your body, be mindful that these acids will cause some stinging if you've recently shaved. So my suggestion would be to not do this on the same nights or days that you shave, especially in like intimate areas. Wait a little bit, wait a couple days, then go ahead and use your exfoliating body treatment. They're a little pricey, I will be honest, but if you are someone that, like, I will get an ingrown hair, it always happens right on my belt line, like where my belt or my pants are kind of brushing up against my belly hair. And sorry if this is TMI, I'm just being honest. Sometimes will get ingrown hairs right at that belly or like waistline, and these are very helpful. So it's kind of like in the moment. I've also found myself like if I am just using one pad to treat one like ingrown hair or a pimple, I'll let the pad like sit on that affected area for 5-10 minutes, almost like as a spot treatment, and then move on. So they seem to help get that stuff to come to the surface, get that stuff cleared out, if you know what I mean. Okay, so there's those. And then this is from Drunk Elephant. Oh, sorry. You can get these at Sephora. This is also available at Sephora and I think also Ulta. Drunk Elephant, this is their TLC glycolic body lotion. So this is a body lotion that has some glycolic acid in it. So 10% AHA, which is a pretty high AHA percentage for a lotion, but it also has marula and shea butter, which are very nourishing and softening. So this should leave your skin feeling silky and soft while still addressing some here and there, some little issues, we all got them. So this is nice because you're treating it while also moisturizing the skin. I personally have not used this full size, but I had a little travel size sample size that I was given at one point, and I did like it. I didn't see long-term effects because it didn't last me that long, but I'm excited to give this a shot now that I pulled it out of my stash. So that's your body. Care for your body too if you have the means. I was going to grab my body wash. Hold on. Stay with me. Hold on. Oh my gosh, this video is going to be 16 hours. Okay. When it comes to body wash, I like something with a little bit of a nice scent to it. I don't like it to be harsh or stripping, so if it's also pH balanced, that's a plus. And I ended up, sometimes if I can find an exfoliating body wash that's got some kind of grit to it to kind of buff some elbows, rough areas, great. And I've fallen in love with, oh my gosh, it's wet. It was literally in the shower. Sorry. There's water in the cap. This is from Tatcha. This is available from Sephora. It is a pricey body wash. I don't know if I'll always buy this one. I'll probably keep switching it up, but I really like it. I think I've only got about that much left. It's their Forest Awakening Hinoki body wash from Tatcha. This smells like a wonderful forest morning. It's incredible. It's got cellulose in it, so it's not using pumice. It's not using any sort of like bead, I guess cellulose is a little bit of a bead, but it's not like those plastic beads that you find in some of those body washes. Remember back in the day, I think they're even illegal now, but there used to be body washes that literally had little plastic beads in them that were supposed to exfoliate, but It's not good to rinse all that down the sink. So this uses cellulose, which will biodegrade and be fine. But it does have a little grit, a little something something to it that just leaves my skin feeling so soft and so smooth, and it smells fantastic. And the lather is a little dab will do ya. Like a little bit of this on my washcloth and I can get my whole body done and it's fine. So this has lasted me a little over a month now, maybe coming up on 2 months. I got it pretty much when it came out and I've got about that much left. They have a body oil and a body lotion that I'd love to try, but it's the scent that hooked me. When I walked into Sephora and they had the Try Me, I smelled it and I was like, oh my gosh, it smells like a dewy forest morning. It's fantastic. It's also got a little bit of like, there's a little citrus to it, a little woodsy, a little fresh. It's just a nice body wash, but it's not cheap. So anyway, okay, that's everything I think I wanted to show you. Final thing, I'm going to circle back on sunscreen. I forgot to mention it. One thing that I hear a lot of people say about sunscreen is, I'm a makeup wearer. I'm not going to wear sunscreen. I have an SPF foundation. I have a SPF powder that I apply. I put an SPF mist on when I'm done. So that is fine. That's good that people that are makeup wearers are trying to work in SPF into their routines. That's awesome. But look back to when other Anthony was filling up that quarter teaspoon with the sunscreen and think about, is that how much foundation I use? And am I reapplying that amount of foundation every 2 hours? If the answer is no, then you're not getting the protection that maybe the package says. It might say SPF 50 on your foundation, but that is under the guidelines that you're applying that much, that often. And I just don't think people are slathering on that much foundation throughout the day. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see like my coworkers that wear makeup being like, whoop, it's been 2 hours, let me go put my next third teaspoon on. So just think of, and I'm not asking anyone to change their habits, I'm just trying to inform. I get it that it is not practical for, I'd say, most people to apply sunscreen in the way that makes it as effective as it claims to be on the package, but just be honest with yourself and be aware of that fact. That's all I'm asking, is just acknowledge that, like, okay, I'm not actually protecting myself in the way that this package is saying I could if I was using it in the way that it's been tested as. I hope that makes sense. I just worry that people look at that and they're like, SPF 50? Okay, perfect. So hold on, where is it? Sorry why I'm rambling on this one, but okay, so this is SPF 50. Perfect. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm good. It's just not how it works. So that's a takeaway that I just want to make sure everyone has. And just do everything you can to keep yourself happy and healthy. You've got family members that love you. You've got fur babies that love you. You've got human babies that love you. And if you're the kind of person that loves to be out in the sun, if you are a total golden god or goddess or neither or both, you can still get all of the fun and save yourself a lot of heartache. Sunscreen, protective clothing, minimize sun exposure when possible. Your skin will thank you, your health will thank you, your insurance will thank you. It's just important. It's important. So, all right, well, I hope that everyone enjoyed this video. And when I told you I had a passion about about sunscreen, a passion about skincare, I was not kidding. This is something that I devoted several years to learning about from a consumer level, writing reviews about, pouring my heart and soul into taking time to really analyze how these products were working with my particular skin type, making suggestions for others as best as I could, but we're all different. And I'm so thankful that people were excited to hear me share this part of my life in the diamond painting space. I'm still very nervous about putting this up because I just don't know. I just, I'm curious to see if anyone will have any interest in it, or expected me to go this in depth, but I hope it's helpful for those of you. I'm going to do my best to add title cards, to add links in description where to find some of... I think what I'm going to do is pick my favorite thing from each category rather than trying to list all of them. Like, what's the best thing from that category I've used? So then it's not, 60 links. I don't think I could do that. Other than that, if you've made it this long into this video, I want to thank you by extending a little giveaway. So what I'd like to do is offer up a, let's see, what should we do here? I'm going to offer up a $25 gift card to Soko Glam. That is one of the shops that I first discovered when I started learning about Korean skincare. Every single brand, every single product at Soko Glam hails from Korea, or was made in Korea. Either it's a US company that has their products manufactured in Korea, or their whole business operates out of Korea. So they have some in-house brands, they curate some other brands, but they have a lot of awesome stuff. Just even looking around the stuff that I showed you, I mean, this is from Soko Glam. This is from Soko Glam. There's a lot of my favorites come from that shop. So you'll have the opportunity to access some of my top favorite products. These are some products that I picked out as like my favorite products of the year in like 2018, 2019, 2020. So you'll have access to those, and $25, it doesn't go a super long way. Whoops, that's completely out of frame. It doesn't go a super long way, but it'll get you a few sheet masks. It'll definitely get you that moisturizer. It'll definitely get you that essence. It might get you the cleansing balm, but it's a nice place to start. If you are someone that is new to the world of skincare, or maybe you've been toying with the idea of trying something, if you've seen some signs of this or felt, or wanting to address that, maybe that a couple bucks thrown your way might give you a good head start into sampling some stuff. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch through this. I can't believe it. So yeah, $25 to Soko Glam. I don't know what their international shipping situation looks like, but I will send you the gift card if it looks like you can get stuff to your country. If you can't get stuff shipped to your country, then I would kindly ask that maybe we pick another winner, just because, I would ideally like it to go to someone that can actually utilize the card. So we'll figure that out in the back end. But what I'd like you to do is leave in the comments which product or step in this whole spiel you were unaware of or not familiar with, or a takeaway that you had from watching through this. So if you could leave a product or step that you weren't familiar with but are now intrigued, or just a general takeaway that you had from this. No snarky comments, by the way. I don't want someone's takeaway to be like, my takeaway is Anthony needs to stop making long videos, or my takeaway is that he spends way too much money on too many things. Those don't count. It has to be related to what we've covered. So, all right, that's it. Leave that in the comments. I will leave that up for a week. I'll leave that open for comments for a week after this video is posted, and then I will announce the winner in a future vlog. I'm not exactly sure when. I've got to coordinate with other things I have going on in the channel, event stuff, but we'll announce a winner at some point. I'll do a random comment picker, and you will be emailed your $25 gift card to Soko Glam. Thanks again so much for watching. I honestly appreciate it. This really does mean a lot to be able to share this. This is so cool. And I'll probably continue to share here and there. But yeah, don't forget to leave any comments if you need any clarification on anything we covered, if you want me to repeat a particular product, if you want to throw your particular skin concern. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but if you're like, hey, I live in Arizona, and how do I keep hydration on my skin? Those are the types of questions. I can't help you with I have this crazy rash. I can't do that. But any questions, I'm happy to help you or even answer them in a future video and show you products in real time based off of what you've shared with me. It's very surface level, not a professional. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content. Happy placing. We'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye. Bye.